We need a revolution. There's only one solution. I need somebody to show me the love. This is the final week of the call. The future is at the door. We need a revolution. We need a revolution. I need somebody to show me the love. We need a revolution. There's only one solution. I need somebody to show me the light. This is the final week of the call. The future is at the door. We need a revolution. We need a revolution. I need somebody to show me the love. We'll make the walls come tumbling down. It's not impossible. They may be resistant, but somehow we need a
Roast. That he went anyway. Did that one go over your head on the joke? That he no. Okay, never mind.
It's all good. But how's everybody feeling? I mean, I don't hear you. How is
great.
everybody feeling?
We can't see you guys.
We are in the moment right now that we've been waiting on years, 5 years in the making. All the hell you done went through, all the traveling you done went through, all the masks that you had to throw away. Now, how are you feeling? Y'all better come on. Let's go, brother.
Let's give some love to Brandon and the whole team this weekend, too. I mean, think about what they had to do from where he came from 5 years ago to what happened to him on January 6th, all the struggles, and we're back again for this amazing event. You made it happen, but a lot of folks behind the scenes had to put this together. So big round of applause for everybody that put this together, and for yourselves for coming out, for helping the WalkAway movement keep moving, even though this fucking government keeps trying to shut it down. I don't get to talk that way on the news, I'm sorry.
But that's all right.
I figured I don't have to be censored here, right? I can say whatever the fuck I want. Is that a bad word?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't think y'all
You
mind
can always
colorful
walk away if you
metaphors.
don't like
They
it.
don't mind colorful metaphors. But I will tell you this. Because of all the frustration that you have gone through over the years of maybe hoping that your vote counts, over the years of maybe hoping that politicians care about what you're doing, you have decided to stand up and say to hell with the bullshit and get out here and stand strong because we are Americans and we have walked away from the garbage. Am I right or wrong?
Come on, keep it going, keep it going. You know, everybody's got a story, right? I bet every one of you that are here tonight have a WalkAway story, right? What? Let's go, Brandon. All right, we'll get that going in a second. I like that chant. That's so 2021. No. Everybody's got a story. He's got a story. I got a story. You're going to hear tonight from folks that have a story where they were awakened to the truth.
Come on.
Right? They walked away.
Walked away.
Who's got a story in here? Raise some hands. Were you maybe
I think everybody got a story in here.
Maybe you were a registered Democrat. Maybe you voted for Obama once because you believed in hope and change. It's okay. I know. It's all right. That shit happens. That shit happened. Wear it like a badge of honor. Go tell your story to people that now you're awake and you walked away from that, as he put it so eloquently. You walked away from that bullshit, right? It's okay. It's good. Now we got to bring more people into the movement. That's what we got to do. We got to fire them up and say, look, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, yellow, red, purple, if you worship Buddha, God, whatever you do, who you sleep with, none of that shit matters. We're Americans. We're patriots. Bring them in. Bring them in. Because the other side don't want them. The other side doesn't want free-thinking individuals that can't be put in a box with one label. Well, if you're a black guy, you got to vote liberal, by God. Don't you vote in. You're an Uncle Tom if you don't vote for Democrats. Well, you ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden.
Well, I'm going to say this. Anybody that has said that you are Uncle Tom, I say, oh, you read the book. Because if you read the book, you will understand that he was a hero. He gave his life to make sure the people that he cared about got what he needed. So thank you for that. I'm so happy that you're up on your literature. But let me say something else one time, because we are almost ready. This is a historic event. We have so many speakers that have come from all walks of life to talk to you. But not only to talk to you, but to hear from you, to feel with you, because this is about us. This isn't about black, white, Jew, Gentile, Democrat, Republican. Right. This is about you, and you. Now, are you ready to celebrate a historic moment of a man being broken out of jail, literally and physically, and us being broken out of jail mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially?
Preach it.
Trapped in this system of garbage. But we are standing up for the truth, and if you ain't scared to stand up for the truth, I need to hear a hell yeah. So are y'all ready?
I think you did a pretty good job. They said, come out here and fill 5 minutes, warm people up, get this shit fired up. Let's go. I think we did our job.
I think we did our job. So let's cue that music.
Do our job back there?
We're going to be ready.
Are you guys fired up yet? Are you excited?
Come on. Come on.
I don't think that's loud enough. They said there was 500-600 people. A little louder, please. Are you fired up to walk away to try to save this country? That ain't hype, that's truth. That's not fact-checking facts, that's truth. The country's in trouble. You gotta fight for her. Do you want America to be better again, to be great again? Then you gotta fight for it. We're talking with your pocketbook, with your voices. And if you gotta go to jail for her, would you do that? Would you sacrifice for her? You gotta sacrifice for her. This country means that much. It does. We mean that much to the world. You were talking about speakers. There's great speakers here tonight. I can't wait to hear from my, and don't let my fiance hear this, from my girlfriend across the pond, Katie Hopkins. Woo! She's known as the biggest bitch in Britain. And let me tell you, no, she wears it with a badge of honor. She told me I'm allowed to say that. I'm not sexist, no misogyny, don't bitch at me, don't tweet me, whatever, screw you. Okay. She goes by the biggest bitch in Britain because she's been warning her fellow Brits for about 2 decades that this woke shit was taking over their country. Look at jolly old England right now. Look how bad it is over there. Open borders.
Open borders.
Right? They got the crime. They got their civil liberties, the surveillance. They arrested a guy the other day because he walked out and took some video of the Palestinian flags in his neighborhood and said, oh, look at this shit, in his little British accent. It was so cute. I thought it was a great video. Then he posted on Facebook, and the fucking bobbies are knocking on the door, arresting him because they said the video was hate speech because he took a video. And if you don't think that's coming here, you're on freaking crack. It's already here.
It's already started.
Look at the January 6 people. You're going to post a video someday, and you're going to get a freaking knock on the door, and they're gonna take you in for posting a video of a Joe Biden sign next year in your neighbor's lawn and say, fuck Joe Biden, and then they're gonna arrest you. Don't think that's not coming. It's coming. So stand up, have your voice heard. This is called fill. That's what we're doing till everybody's ready in the back. Are we filling okay?
All right, so let me ask a question. I want everybody to pay attention, are we? Because they're almost done. Are we almost ready? Okay, good. Let me ask you guys a question. How many guys in here honestly care about family? Raise hands. How many do you care about faith? Raise hands. How many of you care about community? Raise hands. How many do you care about culture? Raise hands. How many do you understand, know that faith, family, community, and culture is what makes this country great? And how many do you understand that the love that you have, not only for yourself, but for your wife, your husband, your son, your daughter, because we can talk about changing the country all day long, but how many understand it's time to change how we do in our own families?
That's right.
We've been real talk right now. So when we can make our own families great again, we can bring in those relationships with that mom, that dad, that sister, that brother, that son, that daughter, and we can bring them to events like this where we can stand together for what we believe in, because like I said, this is deeper than politics, ladies and gentlemen. This is about faith, family, community, and culture, and that is what WalkAway is about, bringing the communities together. So you can have a brother with a whole lot of hair and light skin, and a dude that's bald-headed and dark skin, coming together to rock the mic. Am I right or wrong?
Amen. And with that, I think it's about damn time to start the show.
Hell yeah.
Wow!
Let's get it. WalkAway, baby.
Somewhere, any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You got a fast car. FBI, open up!
Negative K, nothing further, just see the cabbie in the corner. Suspect D is in custody.
Please welcome WalkAway founder, Brandon Straka.
Welcome to WalkACon! How's everybody doing tonight? Amazing, amazing. I love the American flag, but I'm going to move it back a little bit so you guys can see. How are you guys doing tonight? Oh my God, they tried to kill us, didn't they? They tried to take us down. Here we are celebrating tonight 5 years of WalkAway. Can you believe it? I love you too. No, what I think is so great about tonight, and what I think is so special, besides the fact that we have 5 years of WalkAway, we have amazing speakers, we have an amazing audience, all of you guys. We have people here tonight that have come from all over the country. Like, make some noise if you came from the West Coast. Make some noise if you came from the Northeast. Make some noise if you came in the Midwest, from the Midwest. Amazing, amazing. Make some noise if you came from Florida. Okay, California, you're gonna have to do better next time, obviously. No, amazing. I'm so glad to have you guys all here tonight. This is obviously very special to me and special to my team. When we chose our speakers for WalkACon for tonight's event, I really wanted to make sure that we included people who were really amazing to us all along from the very beginning. People who supported the WalkAway movement, saw how special this thing is, and even after hard times that we hit, obviously, January 6th, post-2020 election, continue to stand by us, to stand up for us, and to not turn their backs on us. So we have amazing people that you're gonna see tonight, like Lara Trump, like Rudy Giuliani, Mercedes Schlapp. We have so many, Tudor Dixon, our good friend Tudor Dixon, amazing. Okay, I'm not gonna go through everybody, but we have a lot of amazing speakers that are gonna come out and talk with you guys. So I wanna make sure that you all know, does everyone know that we're doing a rally tomorrow too? If you wanna come, yeah. So if you're able to make it, come and join us tomorrow for the rally. It's gonna start around 1 o'clock near the bridge going to Mar-a-Lago. Bring your WalkAway signs, bring your patriotic gear, bring your most patriotic attitude, and join us for an amazing rally tomorrow night. I had to make a few notes. Let me make sure that I don't miss anything. Oh, see, I always do this. Let me take a moment and please give a big round of applause for my volunteers. Please. They do an amazing job. And also, I want to just, as you guys watch tonight, as we sort of take a trip down memory lane, you're going to hear some amazing speakers, but we're also going to take a look at some of the things we've done over the last 5 years. Please, after tonight, sign up for our email list, sign up for our texting list. If you're able, become a recurring donor to the WalkAway Foundation. We've been through a lot. We were targeted very, very hard, but we're fighting back and we're coming back, and I think that's the most important thing. And be sure to get on WalkAway Social if you haven't gotten on WalkAway Social. So many of you tell me like, oh, I miss those amazing stories, the testimonials, people sharing their stories. They're all back. We've got our own autonomous platform now. So whether you're an iOS user or an Android user, get WalkAway Social on your app store, load it because the stories are amazing. You're gonna love them. One more thing, make some noise if you're here tonight from Twitter Spaces. Promo code Lou. Amazing friends on Twitter Spaces who have been very supportive of WalkAway and everything that we've been up to. But with that, you guys are gonna hear a lot more from me later tonight. I just wanted to come out and say hello. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here for WalkACon. Enjoy the show!
If we don't all take a stand, what in the world are we headed for?
I am so deeply concerned about the fact our country is very close to becoming socialist, communist country.
And if America falls, we're doomed.
I walked away from the Democrat Party, who has gone so extreme.
I was 100% Democrat. I was on the Democratic plantation, and I was happy with that.
I consider myself somebody who has walked away from the Democrat Party.
I was a typical Democrat. I believed everything the fake news media reported.
I thought I was being informed, but in many ways I was being misinformed.
We've been lied to, we have been lied to.
I slowly started to wake up.
A switch went off.
I started to see so much hypocrisy on the left.
I have been so brainwashed into thinking I'm a woman, so I have to vote Democrat.
I came to the realization that the radical left figured out how to emotionally extort Black people.
Being told to essentially dumb myself down because I'm a Black woman, I was really done with the left after that.
My rule is I want to get rid of all leftism. I know it's impossible, but that is my goal.
If we lose the very ideas that America was conceived upon, all else dies with it.
I'm continually struck by the fact that Democrat policies, time and again, harm the very demographic that they were put in place to help.
Angry at how I'd been duped by a media that I trusted.
I made the shift. I couldn't believe that I was propagandized, brainwashed.
I want more people to become independently minded.
These policies that Democrats are saying help people, they actually really don't. They're hurting people.
A lot of my values, a lot of the things that I find important was definitely not aligned with the Democratic thinking.
This party is wholly corrupt.
Having these open borders here at Mexico, it's a mess.
Without a wall, without a border, we don't have a country.
I do not want to be a socialist.
You know, you come to realize the true origin of the Democratic Party, the party of the KKK, the party of slaves, the party of control and power, the Communist Party.
I've been doing all the crazy liberal things, you know, all the rah-rah abortion marches, things like that.
I can't support killing a baby all the way up to when it's to be born.
Do the Democrats care? No.
I walked away about 3 years ago when I got sober and found Jesus because my Christian values no longer align with the Democratic Party.
A lot of black people are supposed to be Christians, but you're voting for the anti-God party.
When I started voting at the age of 18, I asked my parents what to vote for. They told me Democrat, and so I voted Democrat because they told me to. Little did I know, I was literally voting for communism.
Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot allow free speech to be eliminated.
There's no such thing as white supremacy. It's Democrat supremacy.
They took God out of our schools, out of our courts.
We no longer tolerate the Democrat Party.
The Democrats want to control, they love power, they love money.
And that's why I walked away from the Democrat Party.
I'm no longer part of this party. I'm out.
I'm never going back.
I'm so frustrated with where our country is right now, and ultimately, it makes me really sad. I'm a compassionate, loving person, and they've created so much division in this country. There's people I can't even talk to anymore, like my family, my mother, my sisters. And just because I don't believe in this narrative, and it makes me so sad.
I want to thank all of you. I feel like this campaign has saved me. Wonderful, beautiful people opening their hearts and minds and being honest with one another.
I want to say to all of you who have walked away, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you found the truth.
I thought I was the only person in the world who felt this way until I discovered the WalkAway.
What I have found with WalkAway, with every person who's not of the radical left, there is a tolerance, ironically, and a warmth that the left does not have.
The success of groups such as WalkAway had a consequential impact on the free world as a whole.
WalkAway Social, I know that all the people on here are supportive of me, and I'm so grateful for that.
I found my place in the WalkAway movement because I saw so many different types of people.
It's not okay for blacks to be Republicans, let alone wearing a MAGA hat in public. Come on now.
And I love this group because it doesn't matter what your race, color, creed, religion, sexuality, anything. Everyone's accepted here.
I love all the camaraderie.
I walked away. I became a conservative, a constitutionalist.
It's good to share information like that, and it's good to not feel isolated.
On most issues, the conservative position is reasonable, rational, logical, scientific, moral, ethical. The liberal position is emotional.
I'm extremely happy that I escaped the Democratic plantation.
I wish you all the best. Walk away. God bless America.
Give it up for WalkAway walk star, Shamika Michelle.
Land of the free. I said land of the free. I said land of the free. Home of the brave. I'm the new black Moses, here to free the slaves. from the Democrats. Break the chain, walk away, make America great again. What's up, walk away? Can you believe it's been 5 years? 5 years, and I haven't been hanged. So either you are the weakest group of white people on the planet, or you're not Democrats. Let's rewind. 2016, and Brandon picks on me about this. I walked into the voting booth, and I knew I was not voting for that trash Hillary. But I wasn't yet confident enough to vote right. So I voted for Jill Stein. Yeah, I know. And Brandon laughs at me as if that compares to him voting for Hillary and then crying about it. However, I was so mad at myself. Like, Shamika, you knew exactly what you were supposed to do. Why didn't you do it? So I have been on a mission ever since because I decided I would not be silenced anymore, especially when no one was looking. So fast forward to 2018, I got kicked off Facebook for saying things that I thought were common sense. I had no idea I would get pushback for saying men can't be women, women can't be men, children should not be castrated. I thought this was just common sense stuff. So I got kicked off Facebook, and my friend said, start putting your content on Twitter. And I said, why? I got like 20 followers, maybe, 20. She said, start putting your content on Twitter. And so that's what I started to do in 2018. And then it was like, why are all these white people starting to follow me? Like, what do they want with me? I see white people. And someone DM'd me and said, you have to get with Brandon Straka. He started this campaign. It's about walking away from the Democrat Party. I had no idea I had actually walked away. You know, I'm like, this is just easy, common sense stuff. But I met with Brandon. He was doing a show at the time, so we went live. I went on the show with him and Laura Loomer and Anomaly, and I just started to actually be in the mix. And I got on him last night because 2018, the march in DC, I was not there. But 2019, for the 1-year anniversary, I was there, and I've been active ever since. And let me tell you, I think the 2020 Rescue America rallies were actually prophetic. Because though it seemed as in 2020, you know, we had the Summer of Love. We won't forget that. It seemed as if America needed to be rescued. But now, more than ever, it is so imperative that we get this message out to walk away. Because now our country is on the brink of extinction. If we don't actually stand up right now, this country as we know it may be all over with. So now is the time that we really have to walk away. Now is the time that we really have to rescue America. And look, they told me I had 5 minutes, but I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And so right now, it's time that we actually kick in the door, wave in the 4-4. It's time for us to not be silent anymore. See, we can come together and we can get dressed nice and we can be cute and we can laugh and we can have a few drinks, but we actually have a country to save. And 5 is the number of grace. But it's time out for grace. It's time for us to get mean. It's time for us to get mad. It's time for us to get nasty. It's time for us to go on offense opposed to being on defense. The Democrats are always 2 steps ahead. It's time for us to stop being afraid and do exactly what we need to do. Land of the free, home of the brave. So I just want to welcome you to WalkAway. Welcome you to this 5-year anniversary. And I'm here to say they will not silence me. Listen, this is 2023. Not 1823. And I woke up this morning, there were no chains holding me, right? So I'm free, and I'm gonna preach a message of freedom, and I believe that we're gonna actually do something awesome and amazing and take back this country. Take back this country. Take back this country. And we're going to continue to tell everyone how imperative it is for them to continue to take a step back, look at the Democrats, and decide to walk away.
Please welcome to the stage, recent WalkAway, Natalie Beisner.
One way up when you're down, gotta go straight for the clouds. Plant both feet on the ground, nobody gonna stop.
Hi everyone. I'm so grateful to be here. I brought a script, but it's like way too verbose, so I'm just gonna let it fly. It'll be like one of those movies where you throw away the script and just speak from the heart. Y'all, I never thought that I would be here at a WalkAway event, first and foremost, but also in Florida. I've never been to Florida. I live in California, born and raised. I live in Los Angeles, so let's just get that out of the way. I apologize. But y'all, I just want to say real quickly, I had a huge, huge fear of flying before I came here tonight, one that kept me grounded for 7 years. Missed a lot of opportunities, made a lot of excuses for things, and if Brandon had not asked me to be here tonight and asked me to speak moreover, I think I would have stayed on the ground forever. So he not only started WalkAway, but he helped me to conquer my fear. Listen, I used to be a liberal, atheist, Democrat, feminist up until 2020. I have a confession to make. I drove 100 miles round trip just to vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I know. I had to drive that far because I was still registered in an old county, even though I had lived in LA County for like 3 years. So that shows you how politically informed and involved I was. But I just knew that compassionate people voted Democrat, and that's what I did every single 4 years. I bought into it. And listen, here's what woke me up. People ask me all the time, I have liberal, I use that word loosely, adult sons and daughters, how do they wake up like you did? Short version, in 2018, that was the first time I heard the phrase white privilege. It was also, I used to be an actress. I no longer act, but I used to do it. And it was the first time that I noticed this push for racial diversity above all things, not only in Hollywood and in theater, but in the outside world. And I have no problem with racial diversity. I welcome it as long as there are shared values and morals. I have a problem with it as your highest value, your highest priority. And I also have a problem with the phrase white privilege because it doesn't match my experience. And it doesn't match the experience that I've seen my parents have. So that kind of clued me in for the first time that these people I thought were for the underdog, were compassionate, maybe weren't. But it still wasn't enough to walk away. And what made me walk away was summer 2020. I had lost all my jobs. I had followed all of the COVID restrictions. I wore a mask to the grocery store. I only went to the grocery store. I did everything to a T. But in summer 2020, I was told, you were told, we were all implicitly and explicitly told that we could go out and protest or riot, but I still couldn't go to work. And that blew my mind, and it felt like such a punch in the gut. And I watched these independent stores, these mom and pop stores that had just barely begun to open in LA. I watched them have to shutter their doors again and board up their windows and put Black-owned business outside due to peaceful protests. At one point, LA was under a nightly curfew due to peaceful protests on top of a lockdown that at that point had gone on for months and would go on for many more months. And I just needed to go back to work, you know. I help out my family. I needed to go to work. And every time I brought up these concerns to my liberal friends, my Democrat friends, usually on Facebook, I was called selfish and racist. I was told to read How to Be an Anti-Racist and White Fragility, which I later read, and they're trash. And my point is that no Democrat that I knew personally or that I knew in office, none of them acknowledged that I might have an honest reason for disagreeing with them. And I did. I had been on board with them my whole life, but they didn't want to acknowledge my concerns, so I walked away from the Democrat Party. It is possible. There is hope. I don't think you can change anyone, but there's always hope, and they have proven me right every single day since. It wasn't like a blip on the radar. LA was in a mask mandate for 2 years straight. There were vaccine passports. I couldn't walk into a bar or a restaurant and be served in the state where I've paid taxes my whole life. So among other things, they've proved me right, and I realized not only the lies of COVID and of BLM, which a lot of us have now realized, I realized there were so many lies about the Democrat Party, about feminism and the way that they help minorities and women, and my whole world opened up after that. And you know, I'll finish up by saying the Democrats are hateful. You know, they're like an ex that doesn't want to let you go. They're very vindictive. They call me names all the time, you know, racist, homophobe. By the way, I've never been in such a diverse room of racist homophobes in my life. But the one thing I want to say, and I said it in my WalkAway video, I've never received hate from WalkAway. I've never received vindictiveness. I've never once had someone say, what took you so long? Why did it take you until 2020? I've only ever received a warm welcome. So guys, keep doing what you're doing, because it's working. The left eats their own and pushes them out, and we are here to welcome them, whether we agree on everything or not, and we're happy warriors. So thank you so much, and thank you to Brandon.
Please welcome longtime friend and supporter of WalkAway, Lara Trump.
Oh! Whoa! Let me do something real quick. We hear about polls a lot, right? Who in here is ready to vote out the Democrats and in Donald Trump in 2024? That's some polling I can get behind, 100%, 100%. Thank you, guys. It's amazing to be with you. First of all, I just have to brag on my friend Brandon Straka real quick. Can we give it up for Brandon? The greatest. Here's the thing, is that people don't believe that this group exists, or they didn't believe until Brandon said, we are gonna start making some noise. And we are gonna start telling people that they can leave the Democrat Party. They can come over and say, we are conservatives. We love the United States of America. We wanna protect this country. We wanna see it thrive. We, the people, own this country, and we're taking it back. And that's what Brandon did, and I love it. So we're in a bit of a situation right now in America, right? Some of y'all probably have some friends who still haven't come on over, and that's okay, because we're gonna bring them over. And I think that every day that goes by, yeah, we are. Every day that goes by, we can't help
but see more and more reason that voting for a party that hates women, that wants to hold people back, that doesn't allow people to live out and achieve their American dream, that wants to take care of countries overseas versus us here in the United States is not the way to go. It's not working for this country, right? Just think about this. Think about 3 years ago. Think about the fact that we had the most secure border in decades in the United States of America, right? We had energy independence here in the United States of America. We had the lowest unemployment numbers for African Americans, for Hispanic Americans, for Asian Americans, for women since World War II under the leadership of Donald J. Trump. Yep. We had the First Step Act. We had opportunity zones. We were thriving here in this country. You had manufacturing coming back. We had peace deals signed in the Middle East, and look at what has happened now, right? I love it. Can we take that through to November 5th, 2024? We had meetings with Kim Jong-un of North Korea to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. That's where we were less than 3 years ago, right? It was amazing. This country was working for people. And now we are in a mess. And it's amazing because I meet people every day. I met someone backstage who has had this Department of Justice work against him. Someone who happened to find himself at the Capitol on January 6th, much like Brandon. And we know what that's like in my family a little bit, don't we? I'll tell you what, 4 indictments, the greatest mugshot in the history of America. By the way, they were so desperate on the left, right? They were like, let's throw an indictment on Donald Trump. That'll bring him down. We got this guy's number. His poll numbers went up, right? They were like, 1 indictment didn't do it. Let's give him a 2nd indictment. Poll numbers went up. They were like, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy? Why won't he go away? Why are the people still supporting him? So he said, we've got it now. We'll do a 3rd indictment and a mugshot. And then his poll numbers really skyrocketed, right? Because the truth is, with that mugshot, they thought they were being slick, and they were like, well, this will really do it for him now. The truth is, people saw something in that mugshot. They were like, wait a minute. The same system that hasn't been working for me, that has been screwing me, that has been a problem in this country, is the same system going after that guy. I'm going to back that guy, and I'm going to vote for him, right? Yeah. We got the Attorney General, Letitia James, up in New York. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about protecting the citizens of New York. New York, which, by the way, is in total shambles, crime through the roof, homelessness through the roof. It's a complete disaster. And yet, where is the top law enforcement officer in the state? She's sitting front row in a civil trial where you have no plaintiff, you have no damages. No, by the way, these banks made hundreds of millions of dollars. There is print in every contract that says they have to make their own valuations. You really think if I walked into a bank right now and I was like, I got a $10 billion house, go ahead and give me a loan, they would give me a loan for it? Everyone knows what this is about. It is political. It's been political from the beginning. And Letitia James ought to be ashamed of herself. She is a disgrace to every prosecutor in the United States. You never know. Here's what I do know, is that now that the system in the swamp has fully exposed itself, and now that we get it, when Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States, the jig is up. It is scorched earth when he's back in the White House, folks. Absolutely. This Department of Justice dismantled. We've got to get the rot out of our FBI, the rot out of our CIA. We, the people, run this country, not them. That's what's happening, okay? So I just want everybody for a moment in here. Here's a question. Here's a poll I want to take. How many people in this room voted for Donald Trump in 2016? Oh. All right. Here's what we're going to remember really quickly. Do you remember the feeling at about 2:45 in the morning on November 9th of 2016? I really want you to close your eyes and remember when CNN had to call Ohio for Donald Trump, Florida for Donald Trump, North Carolina for Donald Trump, and then the nail in the coffin came at 3 a.m. when they called Pennsylvania for the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. Rachel Maddow, this is not a nightmare. You are not asleep. Think about that feeling. I want you to keep it right here. And we're going to take that feeling. We're going to take it all the way to November 5th, 2024. Because let me tell you guys something. The only thing better than winning 2 elections is winning a 3rd election. And here's what I'll promise you guys. Our family did not just get into this to, 4 years in the White House. Oh, it's so easy. It's so lovely. They've made it so pleasant for all of us. We didn't just get in this for a little bit of time. We're in this fight with you every single step of the way because there's nothing more important than taking this country back. Thank you. When my father-in-law ran in 2016, I didn't have any kids. I had 2 dogs at the time, no children. Now I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. Thank you. And we are here not for ourselves. None of us in this room are here for ourselves. We are here for them. We are here for the next generations of Americans because I want my kids and I want your kids and your grandkids and our future generations to grow up in the same America that I got to grow up in and that you got to grow up in. That's what we're bringing back, okay? So we're in this fight with you. It's about to get crazy, y'all. It's about to get crazy. You know, the end of January, we kick it off. And I'll tell you what, by sometime early spring, they'll officially go ahead and tell us what we already know in this room, that Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee. We know. All of them on the debate stage know it, bless their hearts. We say that in North Carolina, where I'm from. You know what that means, bless their hearts. They know it. And then we're going to lead into a convention, and then we're going to lead into the last couple of months. And I want y'all to get ready, because I don't want anybody in this room sleeping. We will not sleep. We will be on the campaign trail. We will be going from Florida to Maine to California, because believe it or not, do you know that we sell the most merchandise at the Trump campaign to the state of California? Other than the crazies in LA and San Francisco, the rest of the state is pretty red, actually. We're going all across this country, and we're leaving nothing to chance this time. No slick tricks, no mail-in voting, no stuffing ballot boxes at 3 a.m. We're winning this one so big, it doesn't matter how many 3 a.m. drops they do. We're going to blow them out of the water, and this time, how sweet is it going to be when they say Donald Trump is president-elect of the United States of America? I'm ready. I'm ready. So y'all get your outfits ready for the inauguration of the 47th president, because we're all going. We're all going. All right. we got to do this. We got to buckle down because y'all know they're crazy. They're going to pull some slick tricks, and we're not going to let them. So let's go. Let's win this thing one more time, and let's take this country back. I love you guys. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you, guys. Let's go.
Please welcome a great friend to WalkAway, Dr. Gina Loudon.
Oh my gosh, South Florida WalkAway. How amazing is this moment? I have to tell you, who was there? October of 2018, Freedom Plaza. Raise your hand if you were there that day, because I was there that day, and I got to speak at what I think the first real big WalkAway event, right? And that was an amazing day. And here's what I want to tell you about that. We have freedom fighters who have fallen since then. Some of us that were, not just those of us that were in the audience, some of us there on the stage that day are not here any longer. We had Herman Cain here that day. He was one of the speakers that I shared the stage with that day. Let's remember him with an applause, if you would, Herman Cain. We also had Diamond of Diamond and Silk on stage that day. Thank God Silk is still around. But you know what? There are a lot of Patriots today who ended up taken away on January 6th and all the rest of it. And I just want to give a big round of applause to those who have fought the hard fight, because, guys, this is a war we've known from day one. And it's their legacy that we honor tonight. And I'm so, honestly, so absolutely thrilled to be a part of it, standing arm in arm with you. Lara Trump? Mercedes Schlapp, Brandon Straka. I mean, you have some amazing people here. That wall over there, Brandon, I love that. How many of you have had a chance to take a look at that wall? I just have one bone to pick with Brandon Straka. Brandon, I don't know if you're hearing me right now, but I'm not sure you were the first person to be banned from an airline, because I was named a terrorist maybe just a couple days before you from, you know, battling back at what is their lies and what we're so sick of and what we've been dealing with for so long since the Tea Party. Was anybody in this audience part of the Tea Party? So I have the honor of being named, at least by Wikipedia, and they lie all the time about everything, but at least I have the honor of being named with Andrew Breitbart. Who remembers Andrew Breitbart? As one of the founding members of the Tea Party. And I really want to say something about Brandon Straka tonight, because he's been a longtime friend and such a warrior. I don't have to tell you, but to me, as a founding member of the Tea Party, Brandon Straka is sort of the bridge between the Tea Party movement and the MAGA movement. Is that an exaggeration? Because I don't think so. I really feel like he was the one that came in and he took the things that Andrew Breitbart was saying, and you in the WalkAway movement took the things that we were fighting for in the Tea Party, that we understood about freedom and liberty and the Constitution, right? And the things that made America great. And Brandon sort of put it all together and said, there are a lot of people out there that are going to get this, and I'm just going to spell it out for them. And that's what he did. And so to Brandon Straka, big hat tip to you from all of those that have gone before. I want to take 1 second. There's supposed to be a time limit. I have 1 minute and 22 seconds left. I want to take a moment to talk to you about something that I'm nervous about, something that I see coming down our path, right, that you need to be warned about. I feel like I've always been out there being the big red flag that's raising it and saying, this is what we need to worry about right now. And here's what I think. They are trying to take the LGBT movement and tie it in to become the LGBTH Hamas movement. That is not who anyone in this room has ever defended freedom for. They don't believe in freedom, and that's the difference between the people that are talking about liberty and talking about doing what you want to do, doing what you believe is okay for your life, and then somebody else who's saying, I think that being a terrorist is the same thing. It's not the same thing. Now, I don't have to agree with you about anything to believe that you have a right to liberty under our Constitution, but I sure as hell will never stand side to side with anyone who believes it's okay to kill people for what they do believe. And that is the difference. Don't let them talk you into that malarkey. And then I think the last thing I want to say to you is so important, and that is that Donald Trump has been that person who has stood for us again and again, for our faith community, for our families, for our liberties that nobody else kind of ever stood for the way he's stood for it. And that means we're going to stand for him. Am I wrong about that? So my job today, and I didn't pick this, really I didn't. I was the wife of a senator from the state of Missouri, and all I ever wanted to do was be a mom and raise a family. And I have 5 beautiful children, including one who's backstage, and including one by the blessing of adoption who was slated for abortion, who happens to have Down syndrome. And that's all I wanted to do. And instead, God had a different plan. And so I want to say that today, my job, I'm on Real America's Voice. Are any of you familiar with Real America's Voice? I have the morning show. I co-host it with 2 amazing patriots, David Brody and Terrence Bates, and they're amazing co-hosts. We're 2 months old. We're a baby show. But we are rocking all records and breaking all numbers of morning shows ever before. And we are so happy to talk to Brandon all the time, to talk to all of you on our network, and to continue to stand for truth to the best of our ability at Real America's Voice. I want to invite you to join our show. I had Roseanne Barr on today for half an hour. She's amazing, amazing patriot. And every single day when I do that show, I close it like this. I say, hug your children, love your God, you go boldly now and live the truth. I want to invite you to do the same thing, and I want to thank you for letting me be part of this movement for 20 years now. Thank you. God bless you. Go boldly now.
WalkAway is tearing down the walls of division and shining a spotlight on the topics that everyone else is too afraid to touch.
As a Black person, I find it really hard to have conversations and see these opinions from people who do not look like me, and being troubled when I see a police officer down the street knowing that I could be racially profiled at any moment.
I may not look like you, Taisha, but I'm just going to give you some numbers, and numbers have no color. They don't lie. So why don't we start with the fact that there are 328 million people in America. There are 41.4 million Black people in America, which is 12.6% of the population. Yet 12.6% of the population is committing more than 50% of violent crime. 9 unarmed Black men were killed by police in 2019. So last year, 0.00022% of the Black population was an unarmed Black person killed by the police. This represents 0.1% of all Black homicides in the entire year of 2019. A police officer is 18.5 times more likely to be killed by a black man than a black man is to be killed by a police officer. The number of unarmed black Americans killed by police is down 23% since 2015 when Barack Obama was the president. And 93% of black homicides are committed by other black Americans. So if you truly care about black lives, I suggest you get to Chicago, because every weekend dozens of black people are being killed by other black people. The Black Lives Matter movement is the greatest lie ever told, ever believed. We are burning our country down for no reason whatsoever.
A black woman has never had autonomy over her body in this country. That is not the truth, and I want us to stop lying about it, and I want us to be honest, and I want us as women to be responsible and have accountability, and stop trying to blame everybody else for what's going on with our bodies.
Do you support reparations for American descendants of slaves?
How can you possibly justify taking money through force and giving it to someone today who was never a slave?
Black Lives Matter has been the most successful social movement since the anti-apartheid movement in the early 1980s.
BLM was successful in putting money into the pockets of the co-founders. That is it. And they wanted to disrupt the nuclear family. So that should have told you long ago what their agenda was.
If you're wanting to sit down and learn what LGBTQ is, then also you should have spent that last 3 decades figuring out how to work with Democrats.
In today's day and age, it seems that a man can put on a dress and call himself trans. This is absurdity. It has nothing to do with being LGBT. And there is a reason why these gender identity radicals didn't exist before 2015, because again, it is an extension of the oppression industry.
How are you going to heal a nation without addressing reparations?
Forever take the notion that we can't progress as a community until we get reparations off the table.
We are asking for equity and equality, and that includes not repeating our past like we did when we asked black and colored people to use separate fountains and separate doorways in order to get the same food that we eat today.
Taisha, I don't think any of you guys would want to be forced to bake a MAGA cake. Just go to another bakery. Tolerance has to be a two-way street.
My desire is that the freedmen be restored to what they were promised.
Tell your Democratic party
and
to
the
do
Congress
it.
was supposed
if
to
you're
do.
really concerned about it, hold your party accountable for doing the very things that you.
As far as who openly embraces extremism more, definitely the right.
The left has moderated its positions on quite a few issues. They've definitely moderated their criticisms of Big Pharma. They've definitely moderated their criticisms of Wall Street. And they've definitely moderated their criticisms of, launching nation-building wars across the world.
The Law and Order is a racist dog whistle. I'd want the badass prosecutor who sits on the Senate Judicial Committee. Senator Harris is my candidate.
We all know Kamala Harris's history, in her refusing people DNA tests, in her keeping people for labor, in her keeping people on death row after she knew that they were innocent. And there's all this talk about the system is racist. They are the system, and then you guys want to give the system more power. Biden created this system, and Kamala Harris enforced the laws that he wrote. Whether it was the war on drugs, mass incarceration, or him passing laws that he wrote where he said the only thing we don't do in this bill is hang people for jaywalking. That's your beloved Democratic Party.
Your description of socialism, completely wrong. I've studied it pretty extensively, and I would say you need to educate yourself.
One thing that I do know is that for every socialist who's running for president, including Elizabeth Warren, none of them can answer the question, how are you going to pay for this shit? None of them can answer that question. Can you? Can you? Medicare for all, free college, how are we going to pay for it?
I can't even begin to answer that in this forum here.
Well, you should run for president.
When those people that went into the Capitol decided they wanted to enforce their rights, they were treated with fairness and dignity and respect. They were allowed to walk in. They weren't shot down like dogs.
They were,
at the
yes,
doorway.
they were actually shot.
They weren't shot.
No, it was a police officer who actually shot.
All right. Well, we got one person. Okay, I'll recant my statement.
Can we just take a minute? I just got to ask. You don't have to answer. I can just look at your faces. How triggered were you when Trump survived coronavirus?
In 2 minutes.
How triggered?
He's dancing.
You must have been questioning if God really existed.
Apparently, I need to be afraid of the ghost of slavery past because that's where the left likes to live.
Let me tell you something. If you're a member of the LGBT community or if you are a member of the black or brown community, every little bit of news that you're getting that's filtered into your community is so filled with bias and slant designed to control the way that you think, the way that you feel, which will ultimately control the way that you behave, which will ultimately control the way that you vote.
Let's hear it for Walk Star, Gothics.
Hello, Florida. First of all, it is hot here. I don't know how you guys do it. I have no idea. My name is Vanessa. Most people know me online as Gothics. I am a full-time content creator that used to stream video games, and somehow I ended up in the political commentary realm. I didn't choose to be here, but here I am. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my WalkAway story. I used to be a Democrat. I used to be someone who I guess would identify as a black woman, although I didn't agree on every aspect of the black community. There were some things that I didn't agree with, like what it means to be black. And I'm sure if you are a black conservative, you probably can relate to what I'm talking about. So in 2020, I, just like most people in America, stayed home to flatten the curve during COVID. I had no idea what was going on, and I was a little bit worried, so I stayed home, flattened the curve, was doing everything that the government said to comply, and then something happened. The propaganda overlords that are the mainstream media started posting videos about Black Lives Matter supporters and how as long as you were going out to protest against racial whatever, that was totally fine. The mysterious COVID thing wasn't gonna kill you because you're fighting for racism or something like that, I don't know. And so then I started thinking, I started putting two and two together and saying, something is definitely wrong with this. There's something that's odd here. And I didn't prepare anything, by the way, I'm just doing this off the rip. And so basically I started asking questions like, what the heck is going on? How come you guys can go out and protest for some dude that you don't even know, but I have to stay home to flatten the curve for a mysterious virus that's gonna kill everyone? I don't get it. And then, because, as I said, I think differently from a lot of people in the black community, I started to get ostracized. Oh, you're tap dancing for the white man. You're saying, you know, you're trying to help these Republicans. And so I said, I have to walk away because something is very fishy about this. So I walk away, I start doing research, and I start going down this communist Marxist rabbit hole, and I started realizing that there is something off about the government. I'm not quite sure what it is, but something is going on here. They suck. So then, as I walked away, I started to find community within the WalkAway movement. I'm so happy that, you know, Brandon Straka put this whole thing together. I met so many great people, had so many great opportunities, and I was like, wow, I finally found my people. But then I started to notice something that slowly I started to realize that even people on my own side, even some of the people here, started bickering about things. And I'm like, well, wait, this doesn't seem right. I walked away from division, and now I'm still finding little pockets of division here and there. So I started thinking to myself, something is off about this as well. So I want to ask you guys a really quick question. Raise your hand if you would identify as a good person. Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of good people in here. Okay, great. So as I walked away, I started butting heads with a lot of people that were on the right, and I realized that we were disagreeing on core issues that I thought, well, I thought I was a good person, and they thought they were a good person, but they're on my side, so how is this happening? I thought the left was supposed to eat each other. Why is the right eating each other? What is going on? And then I realized Because somebody asked me one time when I was live streaming, they said, where do you get your standard for morality? And I actually didn't have a clue. I was like, I don't know. I just do what I think is good. So then I started to ask myself, wait a minute, if I think I'm good, and this person thinks they're good, and the left thinks they're good, then who's really good? How do we know what is good? And then I started to think, wait a second, how do policies come to be? Policies are the result of culture, and culture is the result of morals. But where do morals come from? Your morals come from your values, but where do the values come from? What are you building your life on? What is the foundation, the cornerstone of your life? Is it your identity? Is it a political party? You know, it's great to be a patriot, but what happens if our country gets taken from us? Where's your foundation then? So I know I'm out of time. I have to go in like a second, but if I could just say one more final thing. It's great that you guys have walked away. I love it. I'm so happy for the WalkAway campaign. But I want you guys to really consider, what is it that you are walking towards? Because it can't just be the red pill. It can't just be conservatism. It can't just be republicanism, if that's a word, I'm not sure. What is it that you are walking towards? Think about it. I love you guys. My name is Gothix.
Hello, Washington, D.C.
We're here to talk about you.
They've lied to America.
They hate America.
Leftist cesspools of propaganda.
Like tolerance for different opinion.
Your freedom is on the line.
Do your own research.
Courage is contagious.
I love this country.
It is not too late for America, because this fight for freedom is now really on.
Join us.
Let's hear it for an OG WalkAway walk star. YG Nightstorm.
Oh, yeah! Y'all did not travel all this way to sound like that. Oh, yeah! All right. I know I was out here a little bit earlier, and we got the clock timer going. Thank you, guys. I know I was out here a little bit earlier, and I was a little bit hyped, and I want to say I said some colorful metaphors, so if that upset some folks, I humbly apologize. Is that all right? But I said the colorful metaphors because, honestly, I was pissed off. And I'm going to tell you why I was pissed off. Now, this morning, because I drove here all the way from Atlanta, Yeah, all right, it's okay. I drove here all the way from Atlanta because I was moving here to Florida. And I was moving here to Florida because I was starting a de-escalation program to help kids in the most violent and dangerous schools de-escalate that, go into their homes, bring the dads back in, because some of the dads are like, I can't talk to her, she crazy. I can't talk to him, he crazy. Y'all know I'm telling the truth, boy. Get quiet, boy. But just to de-escalate that so these kids can have a positive home environment and to be able to de-escalate the violence at schools and in the judicial system and actually match them with industry professionals to help them get out of trouble. So that's why I'm here in Florida. But because I drove down and this morning I was pissed off because my car was stolen. With everything in it. So by the grace of God, I still have at least one suit. I have a pair of shoes. And guess what? I'm still here. The show still goes on. But when I'm talking about this loss, a lot of Americans right now are feeling lost. We feel like because you told the truth, you got canceled. You're hurting in your business. Maybe some of your friends have abandoned you because you decided to speak up for your values and tell the truth. Even some of the folks in your church are looking at you like you're crazy. Some of your adult children are saying, Mama, are you out of your mind? Daddy, what is wrong with you? These are things that we are dealing with. And me being a father of 7 adult children, raising kids make you lose your hair, don't it? But me being a father of 7 adult children, I understand some of these difficulties that we have with loss. But I want to tell you something. As sure as God rules this world, your life will bounce back. It is not time to be afraid, because as a bodyguard for 30 years, I've nearly lost my life 28 times. Okay, so I know the glory of God when I got people, when I'm rescuing kids from sex trafficking, and we got people 20 feet away from me shooting at me and every bullet missed me. God is real. So when I tell you right now, regardless of what you have lost because you are telling the truth, if you are thrown in jail like Brandon Straka, if you have lost your business like so many other people out here, if the school board has turned against you, if your children are looking at you crazy, I tell you to stand up. No matter what you're going through, because I got 1 minute left and I'm going to make it good. God has already said these days was coming. If you understand about faith, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Jew, Gentile. It doesn't matter. He already said it was coming, so you're already prepared. But we also know how the story ends. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. But before it gets better, it's going to take you to stand up. So can you stand up right now? Because I don't care how many cars get stolen. I don't care what I lose. I don't care people talk about me. I will give my life for my God, my family, and my country. And if I lose my life, because I ran for Congress last year, and I got 100 death threats, just like Brandon Straka. And I said to the people who threatened my life, I said, go ahead and kill me. I got one life to give to God. I don't care. All I know is when I wake up, all I want to hear is, well done, good and faithful servant. So I'm telling you right now, if you are ready for the world to change, if you are ready for this country to change, then it's going to take you to be ready for the change. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the change is now and you are in it. Walk away from the garbage. Walk to your people. Walk to your families, and let's save this country. And that, I'm done. God bless you.
Put your hands together for WalkAway Campaign Director of Events, Nick Miles.
Are you guys having fun tonight? You know, it's intense being up here because I can't actually see any of your faces. As you heard on the announcement, my name's Nick Miles. I am the Director of Events for the WalkAway campaign. That's the first time I just heard that. I ask that you guys please be respectful of my pronouns. They are Bigfoot and Sasquatch. I want to take a second and I want to thank our sponsors, because we can't do this without our sponsors and we can't do this without you guys out here tonight attending these events. Over here, please check out our sponsors. They'll be on the side of the screen. But as I said, we can't do this unless you guys show up. We plan these events all around the country. In 2020, when COVID locked down our entire country, we did all of these rallies across the entire country. And we want all of you to continue to support us. You guys can go to walkawaycampaign.com and you guys can learn all about our events and when we do it. I'm from Joe Biden's home state. I'm sorry. Just to let you guys know. Brandon Straka came to my home state, and that's how we met. I immediately hit it off, and he's like, you want to work for WalkAway? And 3 years later, I'm here celebrating the 5-year anniversary of the WalkAway campaign. We've been attacked, and we continue to go. And I can tell you right now, WalkAway's never going to stop. We're not going to stop this. As long as you guys continue to support us, we will keep on going. I'll continue spending hours and hours and hours a week planning these events leading up to this. So I hope you guys are enjoying tonight, and let's get ready for our great speakers. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Maria Ryan.
Hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be with you tonight. I'm from New Hampshire, the great state, live free or die. Yes, that's right. It's a very unusual state. We have everything Republican. Republican governor, Republican House, Republican Senate, but our congressional delegation are all far left Democrats. I can't explain it. Don't hate me for that. But I have a unique background. I am a provider, and I used to run a hospital, and I love taking care of people. But something happened to my country that made me leave a job I love. Joe Biden. It was actually before Joe Biden. It was what I saw them doing to President Trump. I happen to be a friend of President Trump's, and I know him and I know his character. And when I saw the lies being told, it was more than the lies. There was this communist, Marxist thread happening where the courts were far left, not listening to people. And then when Joe Biden stole that election, what Joe Biden has done in just a few years, I speak all the time about what's going on at the border. I happen to be on a #1 radio show called Uncovering the Truth. And you'll never believe who my co-host is. It's Rudy Giuliani. Yes, Rudy is here tonight for you. And we talk about the border a lot because there's not a lot talked about on the mainstream media. We all know about our threat to our national security. More and more terrorists are coming through that southern border. We know about the fentanyl. 70,000 Americans died from fentanyl poisoning last year. It comes from China. Cartels work on it, push it into our country. But here's what really affects me, is those children. The sex trafficking that's going on is incredible. There are 85,000 children missing under the Biden administration that's come into our country. They don't know where they are. They don't vet the sponsors who are taking them. It is a national crisis. And we're now fighting for our lives, good versus evil. And I really mean that. I happen to believe in God, but I'm not fanatically religious. I don't put my views on anybody else, but it is our time, good versus evil. When we look at Americans who are pro-Hamas, those Hamas terrorists are just like ISIS. They brutally slaughtered innocent people, raped women, beheaded children. And there's people in this country who believe in that, who thinks Hamas should have rights. So it's just baffling to me. So I'm so excited about all of you in your journey, going from, many of you, from liberalism to conservatism, because you love your neighbor, you love your country, and you want to do good. That's why Rudy and I started uncovering the truth. We felt like too many things were being censored. And can I tell you, here's a man of high ethics. And when he was, amen, when he was working with President Trump, he went to the Ukraine not to find dirt on Biden. He was actually investigating Russian collusion. And it was a thought that the fake dossier came from Ukraine. But while he was there, the Ukrainians kept giving him information about Joe Biden. He's like, you Americans lecture us about corruption, and you got this Senator Joe Biden, or Vice President. He hadn't announced he was going to run yet. So what does a good citizen like Rudy Giuliani do, a former prosecutor? He gave it to the DOJ. He said, I don't prosecute people anymore. I'm looking at this Russian collusion thing. I'm going to give this to the Department of Justice. I don't know if he regrets that. He'll probably not, because he's a good citizen. But that's when they said, holy macaroni. Here is a guy of very high credibility. We have to take him down. Articles started appearing. He's an alcoholic. I have to tell you, I work with him a lot. He is not an alcoholic. Then they try to discredit him in other ways. He's a Russian pawn. In Biden's debate with Trump, when Biden was running for president, he called Rudy a Russian pawn. And do you know what Rudy did a month ago? He filed a lawsuit against Joe Biden. Well, I am very pleased again to be with you all. You are all beautiful, a beautiful motley crew. That's what we are. But it is my pleasure tonight to introduce Rudy Giuliani.
His mayor, Rudy Giuliani.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Maria. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. So, thank you very much, and you're all having a great time, and I don't want to spoil it. Except, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes on the importance of what you're doing, and then the history of it. So, politics is many things. This year and next, it's about the survival of our country. And it's about our way of life, which has been changed. It's not as if we have to prevent them from taking our way of life away from us. They've done it already. When you can prosecute the leading candidate for President of the United States 4 times in the election year for things that I don't even know what they are, you are not living in a democracy. You're not living in a country of laws. You're living in you're living in something closer to a fascist state. Now, I have a right to say that because A couple of years ago, they raided my apartment at 6 in the morning. And then they went to my law office, and they raided my law office. And the crooked press, which is most of it, said, where there's smoke, there's fire. Oh, they got Giuliani now. See? 2.5 years later, the United States attorney wrote a letter to the grand jury saying, we've conducted our investigation and we haven't found any probable cause that he committed any crime. So who was lying? Me or the crooked press? Well, how about this? How about this? In the last debate between President Trump and the other man said, your pal, Rudy Giuliani, is a Russian pawn. The other man knew that the FBI had a hard drive that I also had, in which it is clear that the hard drive was not Russian anything. The hard drive came from a hardworking man in Delaware who was shocked at what he saw and heard on that hard drive. What he heard was, he heard a statement like this from Hunter Biden to his daughter. They never respected me, Hunter says to his daughter, meaning his family, but for the last 30 years, I've paid all the expenses of his family. And Pop still requires me to give him, Pop, by the way, is the man that I'm talking about, the big guy. 10%. Oh, no. You think 10%. Pop requires me to give him half my salary for 30 years. Now, I have prosecuted some of the biggest cases in the history of the country. I'm an expert on racketeering influenced Corruption Act, RICO, and I'm an expert on political corruption. When I was about 12 years old, I convicted a congressman. I was 27, actually. And I got him to admit it on the witness stand. You give me 10 minutes cross-examining one of these career criminals, we'll rip them apart. The simple fact is, Hunter was telling exactly the truth. For 30 years, Joe Biden, from the day he became a senator, was selling his office. In the beginning, kind of like trailer trash, little amounts of money that his brother Jim and the other guy could, they'd take anything. And then as he moved along, big money. And then when he moved along, even bigger money. And finally, he decided he would sell out the United States to China. For that, he should go to hell. But that's God's decision. When did you ever think we would elect a president? And let's even assume for a minute that Joe didn't get any of the money, and you believe that because you're a naive fool. Okay. His family got $21 million. It's all recorded. The bank is there. The bank accounts are there. The checks are there. The laundered money is there. $21 million in the last 5 years from Red China. Should a man like that be in the White House when China is our biggest enemy? Who's our biggest enemy? China. Suppose for those of you who understand history, suppose President Kennedy or President Reagan, two heroes of their parties, right? Suppose they had gotten $10 million from the Soviet Union. They'd have been hung. They'd have been hung. This is, you only get away with this because there's something even worse. There's a crooked press that covers it up because they don't love this country. You can't let a career criminal like this, who honestly hardly knows who he is anymore. You can't let him remain president if you love this country. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Oh. It's nice. It's nice to be here in Vietnam. Oh, Florida. They told me that I should turn right when I go off. Now, right, is it that way or that way? Okay. I used to think, I have to tell you, I feel very bad about this. I watch that stuff on television. I collect it because the crooked media hides it. He does much more of it than you see. He does 2 or 3 of those a day. Who knows what he does at home? They probably feed him. Now, it is not funny because he's got a little button that could destroy the world. And he's killed probably more, he's probably killed or had more Americans killed than any American president when we weren't in a war. I want you to consider, would any of those people in Ukraine be dead if Donald Trump had been president? Now, in case you're a silly, stupid liberal, let me point out why that's true. Putin invaded 3 times in the last 16 years. The first time, Bush was president. Putin looks at him and says, second time, Obama was president, and he said, he's not going to do anything. 12 red lines for Syria. Then he calls me in because he doesn't have the guts to protect his country, and he doesn't even know who his country is, right? The guy's given billions to the Iranians who kill Americans. He's got to be... So he invades under Obama. Then he watches Biden handle Afghanistan and leave Americans and the people who held us there to die. He doesn't just leave them to die, he leaves the weapons so the Taliban can kill them. God, if he had watched a war movie or a cowboy movie, he knows you destroy the weapons before the enemy takes the fort. He did that because, well, I don't know why. I can make a guess. But in any event, those people didn't have to die. They died because Joe Biden was president. They wouldn't have died if Trump were president. They wouldn't have died if we had a president of sound mind. If we had a president that needs to be told which way to go when he gets off the stage. It's not a joke. It's not funny. And what's not funny about it is how all the people around them have sold their soul. Because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, my goodness, if I saw a president doing that, I would invoke the 25th Amendment to protect our people. You don't think Blinken and Kirby know that he's mentally afflicted? I saw a quick little thing on Air Force One where Kirby looks at Blinken and says, "Get him out of here." Like, get the insane old bastard out of here. But that's not funny, because people die as a result of that. Those Ukrainians would be alive if we had a real president, certainly if we had Trump. All those people who died in Afghanistan, where when he went to watch the bodies come back, you remember when George Bush did that for 1 second? They crucified him. He was doing it for the entire time he was there. No respect for the people he got killed. And finally, what's going on in Israel right now? This man cannot stand up to Iran. He's got a corrupt relationship with Iran that is endangering the free world. And it goes back to Obama. You tell me how you can give hundreds of millions of dollars, which Obama did, to a country that is dedicated to the complete destruction of the state of Israel. What is wrong with you? Suppose somebody claimed to be your friend, and then there was a group of people that wanted to kill you, and they funded the group of people that wanted to kill you. Would you consider them your friend, or would you consider them lying criminals? Well, Obama is a lying criminal, and you don't give them cash. Governments don't transact business in cash. Terrorists do, Barack. When they ask you for cash, you're telling me you're so stupid you didn't realize it's because they wanted to give it to the terrorists that kill the Jews and kill us? You didn't know that that cash was because they were going to be involved in illegal transactions? Does the United Kingdom ask you for cash? No, you do it by wire. When I was mayor, if somebody asked me for cash, they'd have been arrested right on the spot. I only know people that want hundreds of millions in cash. They're terrorists, the mafia, or drug dealers. And our president, Obama, should have gone to jail for that. If we had a fair and equal justice system, if we had a justice system that protected the people of New York, of America, do you realize how many Americans were killed with that money? Soleimani, the murderer, was still alive then. That cash went in to fund his activities. His activities were killing Jews and killing Americans. And when Trump killed him, Biden said he shouldn't have done that. Just like he's trying to get Netanyahu to pause the war. Have you ever heard a war fought with pauses? That's because he wants the other side to win. It's because he wants Iran to win. There is a sick, unholy relationship between Obama, Biden, Democratic Party, and the reign of terror, Iran. They are calling the shots. They're in charge of what's going on. They're the ones who authorized the most horrible desecration in the history of the Jewish people, except for the Holocaust. They're the people who constantly say, death to Israel, death to the Jews, and they never miss the following, Biden and Obama, death to America. And you give them money, and you want me to think you're not a traitor? Sorry, I'm not an idiot. And if you're not a traitor, you act like one. Anybody that gives billions of dollars to an organization that wants to destroy Israel, kill Jews and kill Americans, and someone gives them money, that person should be not running for president, not bowed down to like Prince Obama. And the real question here is, Biden has been a crook for 30 years. The proof, you can't believe how much proof there is. There's a lot more than you've seen. I got about half of it. But the guy that really is behind this couldn't happen in an administration with an honest president. This couldn't happen in an administration with a president who cared about America. A president who cared about America wouldn't give cash to terrorists. This goes back to Obama. He's the one who really hates Israel. He's the one who's really anti-Semitic. He's the one that is pushing Biden to say, ceasefire, pause the war. The people come in, they kill 1,400 innocent civilian Jewish people, and then we have a ceasefire. Obama has a brain. The other guy doesn't have one. Obama is calling the shots. So, this is the time to leave the Democratic Party and become a Republican. You want to join in the ranks of Winston Churchill, Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, and me. 3 of them were Democrats and became Republicans. Did I do a pretty good job as mayor? If I were a Democrat, I couldn't. Look at the city now with crooked Democrats running it. Look at the difference when a Republican ran it. Look at the difference in America when Donald Trump ran it. Look at all the people getting killed now with Biden running it. And look at the difference between Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. And now let me tell you about Winston Churchill, and I'll leave you with this. Winston Churchill, of course, didn't go from being Republican to Democrat. He went from being liberal to conservative. And here's what he said. If you're not a liberal when you're 20, you have no heart. But if you're not a conservative by the time you're 40, you have no brain. So get a brain, and let's make sure we save our country and our way of life in 2024. And God bless you for WalkAway. Thank you.
Give it up for one of WalkAway's greatest allies, Katie Hopkins.
How are we all doing? Are we all good? Come on then. My name is Katie Hopkins, and I am the biggest bitch in Britain. I flew in from the UK to be here because I love Brandon Straka. And all through the last 5 years, or however long it's been, I say to Brandon, every day you don't swing from a tree is a day that you win. And that boy has won this fight, and I'm so proud of him. You know, I arrived here from the UK, and normally, like, I'm straight into American mode, but somehow I forgot to flick the switch that I have that sets me into American mode. I was still in British mode when I came down at 5:45 in the morning. 5:45 in the morning in America in my hotel room, and a guy went, "Good morning! Good morning!" And I was like, Jesus, good Lord. I nearly swallowed my room key. I forgot I was in America. I went for a little walk down the road. Nobody in America walks down the road. People thought I was either drunk or homeless or both. It was a lot. And I arrived here, ladies and gentlemen, just as you were having your elections in the different states. Ohio, Virginia, right? Kentucky. And the feminazis were back again, weren't they? Those friggin' pussy marchers. You remember them? With their little bastard hats on. They were back out for these elections, weren't they? They love it, don't they? Feminazis 2.0, where the O stands for, oh my God, is that thing really a woman? We're here for reproductive rights. We're here for reproductive rights. My body, my choice. With that body, darling, you don't get a choice. You just got to be grateful for what you get. They're like, yeah, when I get pregnant, how the F are any of them ever going to get pregnant? Holy shit, they'd need to get stuck in the door and then some donkey come along. No other man is going near that. Boy. So, I come bearing news from Great Britain. Some good, some bad. We're going to start with the bad. The bad news is that things are rough. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is Armistice Day, the day that we remember those who fought for our freedoms. And tomorrow, on our day where we remember our grandfathers, 1 million Muslims are marching on our capital city to try and disrupt the day of respect for our veterans. I needed to be here with Brandon and all of you, but my good friend Tommy Robinson and the Patriots of England are standing around the cenotaph to fight back on our behalf against the Muslim hordes. They will be there tomorrow. I was speaking to Tommy earlier. Do know that we will not fail you, and he will not fail you either. It's important you know. The second thing I need you to know is what's coming your way, because it comes to us first. We are not going to be allowed to eat meat for much longer. Our farmers have been given instructions to slaughter 1/3 of their herd in order to meet net zero targets. We are about to have the labeling on cigarette packaging, they're going to start putting that on meat from next year in the UK. Within 5 years in the UK, we will not have the right to own our own car. Already, we are only in Wales, you are not allowed to drive faster than 30 kilometers an hour. If you drive a car in a city, you have to pay a financial penalty every time you get in your car. We have barricades and bollards in our roads to try and enforce 15-minute cities. And everywhere you go, there is this push for people to be vegan, to eat less, to use less, not to turn the lights on. There are commercials on our TV telling us how to turn down the washing machine, how to turn off a light switch. They want us to sit in the dark, sucking on the arse end of a locust. Now, let me tell you some good news. Because the good people of Great Britain are not standing for this crap. No. The good people of Great Britain have begun the fight back. We have had the first time in 3 decades, cash, which was going off a cliff, has suddenly taken an upturn. 7% spending on cash, because great British people are fighting back against the digital takeover of our country. Let me tell you some other good news as well. Up and down Great Britain right now, there is a secret network of speakeasies. We live in an age of prohibition now, where speech is the new alcohol. And for the last 6 months, I've been going up and down the UK at night, rallying the secret network of speakeasies where our people are gathering. 200 people above an underwear shop in the night in a little town. Somewhere else, in a garden centre, 400 patriots gathering by night to speak freely. There were men in fluoro vests with torch at the end of the lane, waving us in like they were waving a plane in at JFK. Up and down the place, people are meeting so they can speak freely and feel better together. And you know what I tell them when they meet, when we gather? I tell them that 80 million Americans are right there with them as well. 80 million Americans. And they love it. And I tell them, you know the great thing about 80 million Americans? You know the great thing is that they have a Second Amendment and they are armed as well. Come on, America! I tell them, Americans have the greatest document ever written in the Constitution. There are 3 things the government of this country is supposed to be able to tell you or protect for you. 1 is your very life. 2 is your liberty. And 3 is your pursuits of happiness. And for any and all other things, if someone comes into your home or your car or interferes with your family, you can shoot them in the face. And I say, great. Come on. And now I need to tell you something in return. I need to bring you the message from the UK. is that little Muslim mayor, Sadiq Khan, does not speak for the great people of England. He does not speak for us. I need to tell you, there may be 60 million people in my country, and 40 million of them are assholes. But 20 million great British people are with you, Americans, as well, and they are cheering you on. They are with you. You are our hope as well. And let me tell you, there is change in the air. Something is happening. I am the most banned woman on the planet. I'm banned from everything. I'm banned from countries. I was recently deported from Australia for speaking out against the tyranny of lockdown. Well, you can deport my ass, but you cannot deport the truth. Well, I fucking love you too. And just a couple days ago, Elon Musk reinstated my Twitter account along with Tommy Robinson. We are coming back, my darlings. The fight is on and we are bringing you. I want to tell you just a couple more things, if I may. I want to tell you that what happens in the end of this story is that we win this fight, my darlings. We win this fight. I came here to tell you that 20 million decent British patriots are with you. I came to remind you that you are the greatest nation on the face of this planet. You are one nation under God. You are not a democracy. You are a republic. And you live under one land, under one God. Guys, you've got this thing. You keep fighting, and British people will be fighting right alongside you. Thank you for listening to me. God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much.
Please welcome from Moms for America, founder Kimberly Fletcher.
Hello, WalkAway. Yes, I am the mother who was labeled a domestic terrorist. Yes, I was called before the J6 committee. Yes, they tried to convince me I did not have a constitutional right to not say anything. And this bull shark is still here. So, there is a great quote by George Orwell that says that in times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. So I thought I'd tell some truths tonight. First is, we are not in the Soviet socialist states of America. This is the United States of America. And maybe for years people were thinking, okay, everything's fine, we're doing great. Well, I want to tell you, 2020 was a great gift from God, because He's shown a beacon light on all the evil. And all those people that thought I was crazy, wearing a tinfoil hat, suddenly realized that everything I've been saying about what's happening in the schools and what's happening into our country, that it's true. It's really happening. And so now we're all rising up and standing up against it, right? Well, when you do that, they come after you. So I remember in December of 2020, Ollie Alexander and Sidney Powell were doing a press conference in Georgia. And I don't know, I guess Ollie decided he was just going to speak truth, because that's what we need to do, right? So here's some more truth. He stood up there and he said, stop the steal is not something that's just going away. Because this isn't about just stop the steal of an election. This is about stop the steal of the Constitution. Stop the steal of our American values. Stop the steal of our republic. And then the self-proclaimed cabal looked at Ollie Alexander and said, oh, we can't just stop Donald Trump. We have to stop all of them. Well, there's another quote. and it is by Mark Twain, believe it or not. And he said, in the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs them nothing to be a patriot. When Brandon Straka stood up and had the courage to do that first video, he blew my mind. I'll admit, I was a little bit of a fangirl. Don't tell him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, anybody who has the courage to stand up and know what's coming after them to speak truth, that is a patriot. And look at the movement that he created. And then, of course, they all came after him because he's leading this movement. People who are inspired. He can't have that. And so what they do, they put an ankle bracelet on him. And I called him and I said, Brandon, the moment that ankle bracelet is off, you call me because it's time to roll. So here's another inconvenient truth. He's back. And so are all of you. And we are just getting started in taking back our country, because this is not about an election. This isn't about who won. This is about knowing who won, and not just in that election, but in every election. This is about, I do not have to wear a mask. I do not have to have something in my body. I will stand up for truth and freedom, and I will not back down. You are speaking truth, you are standing for truth, you are ambassadors of truth, and you keep doing it because people are paying attention. And if they weren't, they wouldn't be trying to silence you. This movement is here, it is not going away, and God bless Brandon Straka for standing up and speaking out, and God bless all of you for standing up and speaking out. Keep doing it. Thank you.
Give a warm round of applause for a very special recent walkaway, Georgia State Rep, Misha Maynor.
Woo! This is exciting. How are you guys? I need to stand somewhere where the light is not blinding me. I'm so glad to be here. First thing I want to say is there are actually some great people from Georgia. Okay? On July 11th, I decided to make an announcement that I was going to switch parties. From Democrat to Republican. And that made me the first African-American woman elected official in the Georgia General Assembly. I did not know that I was making history. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I did it because I have children. I did it because you guys have children. You guys have nieces, nephews, cousins. Some of you may be pregnant and you may have children in the future. But in Georgia, the Democrats decided that they were going to stand against children. We had a school choice bill. School choice bill said we're going to give children opportunities. Every state has a different way of doing school choice. In Georgia, it just says if you're in the bottom 25% of all schools, then you have the opportunity to go somewhere where the schools are not failing. The Democrats resounding stood up and said, absolutely no, we do not approve of that. I was the only Democrat that voted for the children. Now let's go back about 3 years ago. About 3 years ago, I was elected as a Democrat, and like many of you in the past, I was what you call a Democrat loyalist. You don't know why you're a Democrat, you're just a Democrat. That's all you know. But it wasn't until I was elected, reading the legislation, reading what we were voting for, that I realized this does not help anybody. This is indoctrinating our children if we're trying to tell parents how to parent their children. This is not helping us if we want to defund the police. The defund the police movement was the movement that was happening when I got elected. So even as a Democrat, I voted not to defund the police. Even as a Democrat, we had a bill for special needs students, children with special needs. The Democrats voted against children with special needs. I mean, you're shaking your head, and I still shake my head too, because I just really don't understand that. I'm a physical therapist, so I told them, look guys, I worked at Children's Hospital. These kids need every single bit of an opportunity that they can have, and to vote against them is wrong. They continue to vote against these kids. So that was another time, as a Democrat, I voted against them. Another time, most recently, the prosecutor oversight bill. A lot of people don't know about the prosecutor oversight bill, but you do know about Fani Willis and Donald Trump. I said there are some great people in Georgia. So the Fani Willis and Donald Trump prosecutor oversight bill, I was the only Democrat that voted for that bill. What that bill says is we cannot just give prosecutors, solicitors, all the power without any sort of oversight. Everybody needs oversight. And yes, Brandon, thank you for inviting me, Brandon. So I stood up against Fani Willis, but a lot of people do not know that I actually filed a federal RICO racketeering lawsuit against the DA in Fulton County, Fani Willis. Now, why did I do that? It was for selfish reasons. It was for me. It was not for Donald Trump. But I still did it. And I did it because Fani Willis, and I love saying this because it's the truth, Fani Willis, her best friend is a county commissioner. The county commissioners supply all the funds for the DA offices. So if a county commissioner is also an attorney and has defendants that they are trying to defend, and they present a defendant in front of the DA, isn't that bias? It is a conflict of interest, and that is why I filed a federal RICO racketeering lawsuit against Fani Willis. Now I'm going to get a little serious. And I need to get serious because everybody saw what happened this past Tuesday, right? On Tuesday, a lot of you, including myself, were very disappointed. And we should have been disappointed. But this is the good news. Each one of you has a responsibility. The responsibility that each of you have is to, one, ensure you go vote. Each election, not just when it's a presidential election. Think about the school board elections. You've got to go and vote for the local school board. You've got to go vote for the judges. You've got to go vote for the sheriffs. This is your world. And unless you you guys are taking control of it. So give yourselves a round of applause. But your homework is this. We have another election in November 2024. I am on the ballot. You can go to www.mishamanor.com and you can donate because I need a lot of help. $5, $10, it doesn't matter. But November 2024, you can't just take yourself to the poll. You've got to tell your neighbor. There are some senior citizens that live in your district or in your communities, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparent, someone at your church. You've got to bring people to the polls because that is what Democrats do. We were at, you know what? She's gonna kill me, but Jacqueline McCoon is here with me. And Jacqueline McCoon, her husband is the state chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. We were out somewhere earlier today and someone came up to her and you know what they said? Are you registered to vote? Are you a Democrat? Can you register to be a Democrat? I say that to say that Republicans, no one came up to us and asked us if we were Republican. No one came up to us and asked us, are we registered to vote? So they have a ground game. You've got to create your own ground game. Stand up if you are going to start your own ground game in your community. Stand up. Stand up. Donald Trump can't do it. I can't do it. Stand up. Stand up. Everybody stand up. You've got to get out and mobilize. We cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone. So thank you guys for saying that you are committed to helping your community, helping this country, helping your neighbors, helping your family. And thank you so much. God bless you.
Please welcome new WalkAway, David Kitack.
Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you all for being here. I know you've heard from a lot of people, but it's my turn now. So like they said, my name is David Kitack. You might recognize me from the very bottom of the flyer. Or you also perhaps might know me for being the National Lead Ambassador for Gays Against Groomers, an organization Thank you. So my story, at the risk of bringing the energy down a little bit, I want to go into a little bit of my history with my family. My family fled the Soviet Union as political refugees escaping Christian persecution. And I always felt really connected to my extended family, even my grandparents who I never met. And my grandmother, at 19 years old in 1939, while she was at university, she hosted a Bible study with a few of her friends. The authorities found out, and she was sentenced to 10 years in a Soviet gulag for reading the Bible at a university. And all she had to do to gain her freedom from that was to reject her beliefs and pledge fealty to the Soviet Union. And she refused to do that the entire time as a teenager. And it kind of makes me think, we see a lot of people protesting certain things today, and what do they have to lose? Nothing. If anything, they have a new pair of Nikes or a flat screen TV to gain for protesting nowadays, because you just end up raiding stores and think that you're doing something virtuous. So my grandma lost her freedom because of what she believed in. My grandfather hated the Soviet Union and hated the communists, but he was conscripted to fight the Nazis because it was World War II. But my grandfather's biggest dream was for him, which didn't happen, or his family and children and grandchildren to grow up in the United States and experience that mythical Western freedom. My parents were able to fulfill that promise in 1989 when they moved to the United States. And in May of 1990, I was born free in the United States of America. So exactly 80 years after my grandma lost her freedom at 19 years old, so did I. In 2009, when I was 19 years old, I tried fentanyl for the first time. And I became addicted, like so many other people across the country. And I lost my freedom. I got into a cycle of shame and addiction and feeling very isolated and alone. And luckily, there were people around me seeing this, you know? And a lot of people that loved me were seeing me slowly kill myself. And some of them spoke out, and some of them spoke up. And they had the courage to stand up for what was right. They knew what was true, they knew what was right, and they had the courage, even if it was awkward, even if it offended me, they spoke out. And because of that, they saved my life completely. They saved my life by knowing what was true, knowing what was right, and speaking out. They saved my life by intervening. And somebody else that knows a little bit about losing their freedom for what they believe is Brandon. And that's why I'm so proud to be a part of WalkAway, to be a part of this event, and to be a part of this movement. Because it's not easy. We lose a lot for speaking out, and it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way that it is. And I think about sometimes what would have happened if people didn't have the courage to speak out during the time where I needed an intervention. If they just felt like it wasn't worth it, or if they felt too awkward, or they didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, I wouldn't be here today. That's the truth of it. That's the absolute truth of it. So I think about that a lot, and if you love somebody, you intervene. If you love somebody, you don't let them kill themselves slowly. If you love somebody, you don't let them self-destruct. And just like addiction, which can be related to a lot of things we're experiencing now, silence is complicity. So if you don't speak up, you are essentially going along with it. And I think we all understand, especially after all the amazing speakers tonight, that our country is on a self-destructive path. Our country is blue in the face, gasping for air, waiting for somebody to intervene. And it takes other people to have the courage to speak up, regardless of the awkwardness, regardless of the feelings that you hurt, to stand up and say, wait, I know what's right. I know this isn't right, and I'm going to say something about it. And that does take courage. And that can save a single person's life, or it can save a country. And I think that we all understand now that after everything that's gone on, especially after the last 3 years, everything that's happened, we know that it's time for America's intervention, because we are on the precipice right now. And everybody here that attended, everybody here that spoke, we are a part of that. And don't stop. Don't stop talking to everybody that you know and speaking out. Don't be ashamed of what you believe. Because it's true, and it's right, and you have the courage to stand up for what you believe. So, at the risk of bringing the energy down a little bit with my life story, I wanted to say that it's going to take every single one of us here to intervene for America and to change what's happening now. We cannot stand idly by as we're careening off a cliff. And we can't just stand, because we're not going to be complicit in this, right? We're going to be the ones that are going to say, stop, let's pump the brakes on this. And now, ironically, that's a revolutionary act to actually say something that was completely basic 5, 10 years ago. You know, and a lot of my work with Gays Against Groomers, that's what we're noticing now. You know, that in the community, there's so many, nobody really agrees with all the madness that's going on, but the loudest, the squeakiest wheel is getting all the grease. It's time for us to start squeaking, you know? We have the numbers, we have the truth, and we have the principles that made this country great in the first place. We're not trying to revolutionize anything, we're trying to bring it back to basics. So, I hope that as America is blue in the face and gasping for air, you guys will all join us in intervening and having an intervention for America in 2024. Thank you so much. You guys have all been amazing. Thank you.
Hello, wonderful walkaways. My name is Karen. I am a walk with.
I am in the very blue state of Massachusetts, but I am a walk with.
I consider myself a walk with.
Proud walk with. A solid and steadfast walk with supporter.
I'm a very proud walk with.
Walk
with. I'm walking with you. This is WalkAway, but I believe you're walking with all of us.
The WalkAway movement also brings walkaways and walk-withs together and encourages them to work together in trying to make the world a better place.
I love running across the people who have walked away, hearing their stories, hearing how excited they are that they got away.
Because it can't be easy to one day wake up and realize that everybody has lied to you.
I do walk with people who want to not be Democrats, and I don't think they should be assumed to be these horrible things like bigots and all this other stuff based on what the mainstream media says.
I'm fully supportive of the WalkAway campaign.
The mainstream media in general lied to you.
You don't have to be under control over those people anymore telling you what to do.
For the people that's on the edge, there's no better way to leave the Democrat Party than with Brandon.
The world would be a better place if we could definitely love one another more. I just have to applaud everybody who has walked away.
The WalkAway movement is somewhat like the American Revolution because it brings we the people together and it makes them stand up against tyranny and makes them fight for freedom.
I'm very proud of all of you who've made the decision to walk away.
I admire those who have the grit and the fortitude, and quite frankly, I don't give a damn what you think. I am walking away. I can't help but admire that.
It's our duty as citizens to seek the truth.
I support people being able to vote for whoever they wish to vote for and to support whatever party they wish to vote for.
This particular campaign has grown and it's got teeth, and it's resonating with people everywhere.
I'd like to give WalkAway all of my wishes for a lifelong and eternal success.
I support anyone and everyone
that is willing to walk away.
Liberals really aren't any different than I am. They want a happy life.
And I wish the hashtag WalkAway campaign all the best, and let's make history.
I'm here with you. So thank you, Brandon, for what you've created, who you are, and what you're doing.
Walk with scenario of the WalkAway campaign, I'm with you.
I'm a walk with, but I support all of you walking away from the Democrat Party. God bless you.
So I will always be a hashtag WalkAway supporter, and I applaud anyone who decides to walk, jog, sprint, or bolt towards real-world thinkers.
I love you guys.
We're walking a journey together now.
I celebrate all of you, and I walk with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome great friends to the WalkAway movement, Matt and Mercedes Schlapp.
Oh, come on, let's get loud in here. The party has just started.
Is that your speech in the monitor?
No, it's about an hour long.
Are you going to give a long speech?
Yeah, it's about an hour, so settle down. I'm kidding. It is.
You know, we're not supposed to talk about politics from the stage, but I think everyone's broken the rule. And you know, the way everyone's getting sued, what's one more lawsuit? We'll just jump right into politics, right? No, we're kidding, Brandon. Don't worry. Relax. It's going to be okay. We're going to follow the rules. We're really rule followers. So we were a little bit late because we went over to Mar-a-Lago. We are not members. We would like to be. We have a lot of envy for the people that get to hang out over there. And we got to see this great guy named Donald Trump. You know, he's the president of the United States. And I said to him, you'll like this, Maura. I said to him, do you have any message for Brandon's group over here at WalkAway? And he said, we're going to pardon all those people from J6 when we get back in the White House. And he said, are you guys old enough to know what a pink slip is? They probably think that's like pornographic. It's not. It's just like getting canned. He said there's a lot of people who are going to get canned too when he gets in there too. So I think that's a good message.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, I mean, Brandon, the bravery, the pain that he has gone through. We all have to keep praying so hard for all those people who have become victims of this outrageous authoritarian Department of Justice determined to destroy the lives of freedom-loving Americans. It has gone too far, and we are going to push back. How many of you think we should defund the FBI? How many of you believe we should defund the United Nations and send them off to Gaza? How many of you believe that the DOJ should reimburse all those legal bills that all these political victims had to pay? Well, I believe the time is coming. I really do. This is such a bigger battle than all of us. It is such a spiritual battle that's going on between good and evil. And there is no middle ground right now. You need to decide, are you on the side of God and freedom, or are you in the side of the devil? And I will tell you something. If you believe with me that we need to stand with Israel and make sure that Hamas is eradicated, and why not figure out if we can have our attorney generals investigate if BLM is receiving any money from these terrorist organizations? What about Students for Justice for Palestine? Basically, brainwashing these young college kids that talk horrible things and are anti-Semitic and going after our Jewish brothers and sisters. It's not going to end with just the Jews. It's going to go after the Christians as well. And we have to put a stop to it. We have to stop the propaganda machine. We have to stop the globalist agenda. And let me tell you something, a wise man once told me, there is no plan B. And he's here right now. Jerry Daniels, stand up. Let me tell you, there is no plan B. The time is now. God has put you on this earth right now for this moment. And you are being called for something that is greater. We are not called for comfort. We are called for greatness. We are called for greatness in America, and we're going to take our country back.
Can you see why I call her the Chihuahua?
Really, Schlapp, really.
So there's no plan B. There's no UFO that's going to come down and take you away to a happy place. Doesn't exist. We have to button down. We have to think about what we're facing. We have to remember everything they've thrown at us. Who said out there we got to defund the WHO? You got to add it to the list.
I like that. That's on our list.
What did they lie to you about? They lied to you about America being a racist country. They lied to you about the fact that it was your fault that our cities were faltering, right? They lied to you about the virus. They lied to you about, and to your children, about the efficacy of children taking this vaccine and others. They tried to mandate everything that was wrong and make illegal everything that was right. And too many of us were too quiet for too long because we were in shock. We couldn't believe what was happening to our country. But we've had enough time to think about it. And do you know what all of these great American, freedom-loving Americans are doing? They're going to fight to take back their country. We have a year to do it. You have to think about everything you can do to save this country. It's digging down deep. As Mercy said, it's getting on your knees and asking God for his direction. It starts with loving America. Some people say that the most important word is the fact that many of us, like Mercy and I, call ourselves conservatives. We call ourselves Republicans, except some days we don't want to call ourselves Republicans, but we do. We call ourselves Republicans.
Maybe there should be some change at the RNC. That would be a good place to start.
Yeah, that could be a good thing. But what are we more than anything else? We are. Do you want a microphone? What are we more than anything else? We're Americans. We're going to protect this country. We're going to stand together. And let me tell you something. When we save this country in less than a year, everybody around the world that cares about freedom, they're all going to root us on. Because if America goes down, freedom around the globe goes down as well. So can you join us? Are you ready? You ready to fight for your cities? You ready to kick out the crooks? What about Hunter? Is it time to impeach Biden? What about that Mayorkas guy? Is it time to impeach him too? Brandon, is this getting too political? Who else should we impeach? I say, how about Merrick Garland, that crooked AG? Would that be a good one? Do you want to impeach anyone? You can't impeach Ron Romney, okay? That's a whole different thing.
So I just want to add, WalkAway has been critical, and we partner very closely at CPAC. And I promise you, as we do with Moms for America and these incredible groups, we are on the front line. We are not backing down. They are not going to take us down. They've tried to destroy our family. They've tried to destroy our organization. But we will not back down. We will put the armor of God on. We have a country to save. We have to save it for the next generation. And it is going to be our promise to all of you. And we want you all to join us at CPAC February 21st during that time in Washington, D.C. I know it's a swamp, but we got to take that city back. We got to take that city back. And it's going to take brave, brave warriors like you. So yes, when you get down on your knees, and I say pray, we have to pray harder than we've ever prayed before. This is the moment. This is the biggest battle of our time, and we don't have a choice or we will lose this country. Are you with me? Are we going to take America back? Are we going to make sure that Donald Trump, who is our leader, our strong, fierce leader, are we going to have him back in that White House so he can dismantle the new world order, so he can dismantle the Great Reset. He's going to have these other leaders shaking in their knees because they're all jealous of him, and we need him back in that White House. And I will tell you right now, we are not giving up. And every day from now till next November, that is our battle. It is our battle to make sure we protect our family, protect our children. And this is your community, guys. They want you to feel isolated, alone, and silent. That will happen no longer. We are a family, and we're going to make sure that our American family stays strong. God bless you all, and God bless America.
God bless you all.
Please welcome the bad boy of OAN, WalkAway ally, Dan Ball.
Hey! How we doing, everybody? Are you still with me out there at this late hour? That didn't sound good enough. Are you still with me at this late hour? Are we still fighting to save this country at this hour? This WalkAway movement, this America First movement. Can I do something we didn't get to do earlier? Because I serve in the United States Air Force, and you all know what this weekend is, right? November 11th is what? The day we honor the men and women who have served this great nation. So I want to do something, if we could, real quick here, before I get on with my couple-minute speech, whatever they're going to give me time-wise. You know, Brandon, I'm not going to pay attention to this stupid-ass clock right here. I'm going to talk as long as I want. If you served in the United States Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, you're a veteran or active duty, please stand up real quick so we can honor you. Please stand up. Hi, dear. Nice to see you. Please stand up. Please stand up. I don't know if I can do this. Don't sit down. Don't sit down. Can I get the house lights up or not? If I can't do the house lights, that's okay. But I want to take this time. Don't sit down if you're a veteran. I want you to stand up. We're going to do something. I'm going to spend a little bit of my speech time talking about these brave men and women. So stay standing, please. I want you to look at them. I want you to think about the 18 million veterans we have in this country right now. I want you to think about the fact that we're losing somewhere between, the VA says 22, my experts say 44. Somewhere between 22 and 44 veterans a day are committing suicide. Now let me explain something to you. I want you all to stare at these veterans. I want you to look at them. Sorry if I'm making you uncomfortable, vets. It's okay. We're going to get to an end. You'll sit back down. I want you to look at them. I want you to think about this. Whether you see physical scars and wounds, whether you see a wounded warrior or not, they all are carrying scars and a burden. They took these burdens on for you, so you wouldn't have to have these burdens. They served, they sacrificed, they were away from their family, they were injured, they have PTSD, they've seen horrors you wouldn't know what to deal with. So when you look at them, I want you to thank them, and I want you to understand what Veterans Day is all about. We wouldn't stand here and have a WalkAway movement. We wouldn't be able to celebrate. We wouldn't have the freedoms and liberties we have in this country if you didn't have millions of brave American men and women for the last 200 and plus years standing up for our freedoms and liberties. Their sacrifices allow you to say and do what you want in the most free and best country on the frickin' planet. So start thanking them more than one fucking day of the year. Now you can sit down. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now we'll get to my speech. I just wanted to make sure we thanked our veterans. Thank you. Make sure you look at them and tell them thank you, okay? And do it more than on November 11th, because we wouldn't be able to do anything without that man or woman that's brave enough to pick up a rifle and stand on a fence and say, come get some. I'm defending America. So just remember that. Okay, so we're supposed to talk about our WalkAway movement and our moment, right? So let me quickly give you some background about myself so you know who I am, where I come from, and why I love Brandon Straka and what he's created with the WalkAway movement. And hopefully it'll kind of reverberate with you. You'll take that back home. You'll tell your friends, your coworkers, your kids, your grandkids about why this movement, but more importantly, the America First movement, of which Brandon Straka's movement, WalkAway, is all about. It's about putting our country first, about putting the people first. And so real quick, 49 years old in a couple days. I grew up in a small farming community in Northwest Ohio. 5 brothers, divorced family when I was 1. My Mennonite, sweet grandmother raised me till I was about 12 or 13. Then I raised myself. At 17 years old, after the television raised me in the 70s and 80s, like many of you can relate, right? I loved TV, that little box. I watched Desert Storm 1 unfold in 91. I watched Bernard Shaw and Wolf Blitzer on CNN back in 91. Before they were corrupt assholes and liars, I watched them. And I watched this war. Oh, we'll get to the corrupt ass media. I watched this war unfold. And I was always taught to stand up for this country, fight for what's right, stand up for your principles and morals and ethics. And so at 17 years old, I signed up in 92 and I said, I'm going, let's go. So I signed up to be a journalist for the Air Force and worked for the Armed Forces Radio Television Service. When I got out, after serving my country, I got into local television. And like many of the legacy media people that you probably watch, and I'm sure many of you from different states, I've met people tonight from Delaware, from California, from Missouri, from Ohio. I'm sure your local newscasters, you've watched for 10, 20, 30 years. You've trusted them. You thought they were telling you the truth, right? I could stand up here and tell you right now, and I was thinking about doing it, and I'm like, they don't want to hear that bullshit. I was going to pull a piece of paper out and say, I had a prepared speech I was going to read to you tonight, but I thought I would just wing it, and you would believe me. That's a crock of shit. Well, any journalist, so-called, or news anchor can stand out there today on NBC, ABC, CBS, you name it, and tell you something, and they expect millions of sheep in this country to believe it. Why? Because they told you? Because they got a degree from some Ivy League piece of shit woke university? And they got a piece of parchment paper that says they're a journalist, so they tell the truth. They don't have an agenda. My ass. We know better than that now, don't we? Thank God. And you know who helped open our eyes to that? Donald J. Trump. Sorry if you don't like that, but that's the truth. Who started talking and calling out the fake news? The fake fucking bullshit news. So let me finish my story. I do 27 years in local television, from Philadelphia to Las Vegas, in between a bunch of different news markets. And I'm a good little prompter jockey. I read the teleprompter in front of me in the camera, like the one back there, right? A prompter. And I think everything's hunky-dory. But about 2011, I start seeing the country in decline under Barack Obama. And I start going, now, I've been a conservative and a registered Republican since I turned 18 back in 92 or something. My grandma raised a Reagan boy, okay? That's the way it is. But I knew our government was corrupt as hell. So when I heard the hope and change shit from this guy, I went, well, let's see what he's talking about, like maybe many of you did. Now, I didn't vote for him. Don't think I did. But I was hopeful there might be change. And then the change that occurred was ruining my country, because all he did was divide us for 8 years. And then the mainstream media propped him up on a pedestal like some frickin' savior of our nation. And then the media went along with this radical liberal agenda that he was helping to usher in. And what was that? Label us and divide us. You're black, you better be a liberal. You're Mexican, you better be a liberal. You're white, but you're a female. Oh, you're a lesbian, you better be a liberal. They started dividing us on who we are, what we are. That's not what we are. You know what we are? We're Americans. Stop with the label bullshit. Stop it. And so I started seeing what my eyes were closed to for many years, because my goal, as a lot of Americans' goal, was make money, get to the top of my career field, which is broadcast journalism, get a job at network. Maybe I'll get on CNN or Fox or one of those networks someday and make money. And that's all I thought about for a while in my 20s and 30s, I'll be honest. God's honest truth. And then about 15, that's what a lot of people said, thank you. It's what a lot of Americans do. They get in their bubble, they're out just trying to make a living for their family, and they're not paying attention to what in the hell is happening to the country. Exactly, thank you, dear. And so, when did I walk away? I didn't really walk away because I've been a member of the Conservative Republican Party for forever. But when did I wake the hell up? Not woke. When did I wake up? When did I awake to what the hell was happening with my government, with the mainstream media, with my career field that I dedicated almost 3 decades of my life to? And then this tall, tan, coiffed hair guy came on the scene that I used to watch just say, "You're fired." And I'm like, this guy doesn't stand a chance. He's not going to win. They're going to slaughter him. He's an entertainer. He's not a politician. There's no way they're going to believe this guy. Just like me. I'm like, I'm trying to be a serious journalist, but for years I covered the Emmys and the Grammys and the Oscars, and I did morning shows, and I was featurey and fluffy and funny, and who cares? I won some Emmys. They're fucking paperweights. Who cares? None of that stuff matters. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I could care less about the last 27 years. What I care about is the last 3 years, and I'll get to that point because I know I'm way over, and I'll wrap up. Shh, be quiet back there. I'm done when I'm done. So then, thanks. So then, oh, you gonna wrap me up, big guy? He's big. Hey, big guy, this is Florida. I'm strapped. You better come heavy. You better come heavy. All right, anyway, I'll make this in 2 minutes real fucking quick. Sorry, I know they got big VIPs after me. So, 2020, David Harris Jr., you're coming up next, okay? Hold on. David's gonna get mad at me. I love him. He's a brother from another mother. I love that boy right there. He is one of my best friends. He's been coming on my show since we started. I love you, David. Hold on, I'm gonna wrap up. Give me 90 seconds, I'll wrap up, I promise. Can I have 90 more? Okay, thanks. So, 2018, I run for Congress in Marion Sonny Bono's old seat out in Palm Springs, California. Get my ass kicked. That's okay. It opened my eyes. It made me awake to how corrupt the political system is. Because do you know I got attacked worse by Republicans than I did by Democrats? Republicans, they questioned my service. I had Republican talk show hosts and Women Federation of Republican blah, blah, blah groups going, "We want to see his 214. Did he really serve?" Democrats never said that. Republicans. And that fired me up more than ever. Trump had already been talking about that in 16, 17, 18. I had seen all the pushback from both parties, both sides, how the media destroyed or tried to destroy him. I watched that happen. Then I watched what was happening to me, my family, my friends as I ran for office. And in 2020, I called a guy named Mr. Robert Herring. He's the CEO and now 82 years old of our network, One America News. If you don't know what OAN is, One America News, it is the most censored network in the history of this country. And why? Why are they censoring us? Why did they pull us off DirecTV? Why did they pull us from DirecTV, Verizon, and Frontier all in 1 year? 20 million households. Because they didn't like what we were, thank you, they didn't like the truth. And 3 years ago, we launched our show, Real America. It became the #1 show before they canceled us on the network. Many of you watched the show. Brandon was one of my first guests, and I've had him on tons of times ever since, because I love the message of what he's saying, that anyone out there can walk away. You can walk away from this bullshit radical liberal agenda. You can embrace these truths, not facts, because the fact checkers will tell you that ain't true. Embrace the truth, right? Embrace the Constitution. Embrace our freedoms and liberties. And that's why I'm here. I'm here. No payment. I don't know if the rest of them got paid tonight, but I didn't take a dime. I didn't take a dime from Brandon because I want this movement to move on, because I'm not a grifter for the movement. You see, I'm a patriot, and I hope you're a patriot. I want patriots to stand up, get the hell up, and stand up and fight for this country. Fight for what's right. Thank you. And as I sign off my show, I always say, be proud. Be brave, and God bless. And let me tell you why I say that at the end of every show. I want you to be proud to be an American. They're telling you right now, this country's horrible. Oh my God, oh, it's horrible. Be proud to be an American. Tell them to read between the fucking lines. if they tell you you shouldn't be proud to be an American. And be brave, because they're coming for you, especially you folks that walked away. They're coming for you more because they had you at one point believing in their agenda, their propaganda, their bullshit. So pay attention, wake other people up, and have them walk away. And also, sign up for the OAN app, watch A True Network, and now watch this. This is gonna be a video that's gonna tell you more about Brandon's next mission, which is his WalkAway Social. It's the social app you should sign up for. God bless you all. Thank you guys for coming out to WalkACon 5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry I went so heavy. Take it easy. Roll the tape.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for a friend of WalkAway's from the very beginning, David Harris Jr.
Are you kidding me? What's happening, West Palm Beach? How are y'all doing this evening? So good to be here. Oh, I love you guys too. So good to be here. I could not say no to my man Brandon when it came to coming to this event and supporting him. He's been through hell. He's been through hell just trying to support and stand for what's right. And he's got an amazing story. I know all of you know his story. Y'all familiar with me? Interesting bit of information. I was one of the first ones with, I don't know what I had, a few 100,000, I guess, on Facebook and a show that did pretty well. Back in when'd you walk away, Brandon? Was it like 17, 18, something like that? So I'd seen his video, it was going viral. And if you know me, you know I'm a family man. Been married to my high school sweetheart for almost 30 years. We have 2 amazing daughters. One of them is right here with me right now, Skylar. And our oldest has given us 2 grandbabies. Are you kidding me? One of the absolute greatest gifts a person could ever experience is being a grandparent. Absolutely unbelievable. And a person of faith. I've been very open about the fact that I would not be alive today if it was not for God's grace and his mercy. Am I the only one? Let me see a show of hands. Am I the only one? Who else knows? Some of us know. Some of us really know. Some of us are like, yes, God is good, but some of us are like, no, God is good. He's good. And so I love my Papa God. So I'm very open about that. I'm very vocal about that. And when I saw Brandon's video, the very first video, I had one of my writers for my website reach out to Brandon and say, get me a phone call with Brandon. I want to talk to him. I'm loving this message of him walking away. How he woke up. I got to hear more of the story. So I'm on the phone with Brandon, and we're talking, and I say, so tell me more about your life. Are you married? I told you I'm a Christian, right? Pretty sure he knew I was a Christian. And I'm going to tell you something that I believe is the threading and the bedrock of why we are going to win this battle in America. When Brandon heard me ask, are you married? He said, well, David, I'm not sure if anybody's told you this, but I'm gay. And in that moment, I'm telling you what happened. I'll remember it like it was yesterday. In that moment, I prayed. And I said, Papa, how do you want me to handle this? How do you want me to respond to this? Right? Do I give my platform to somebody that's openly gay? Literally, is where my head was at. And what I believe what I know, I heard God say, and this is, don't get me wrong, this is not an endorsement of his lifestyle. I still think that that's an error, but I love him anyway, right? We've all done wrong and and need God's grace and forgiveness. But this is what I heard in that moment. I heard God say, love him like a brother. Love him like a brother. And that is what I have done with Brandon from the very beginning. So he's like, is that okay? He said, is that okay that I'm gay? I said, I just heard my papa say, love you like you're my brother. So I love you. And I've been with him from the very beginning. Had him on my show. I know some of the first people that he had become a part of his team were people that actually saw him on my show and said, we believe that we're supposed to stand behind Brandon as well. But I want to tell you as I wrap up, because I'm going to keep it true this 5 minutes. My name is not Dan Ball. Why I believe we're going to win is because I know without a shadow of a doubt that God is good. God is good. He loves this country, and he loves every single one of us that are putting it all on the line to fight for this country. And without getting caught up in the woods and the details of this and that and throwing stones, I'm not about that. I believe God will bring about the good from those that are seeking him and seeking what's right for this country in due time. It's not my responsibility to change people. It's my responsibility to love people. That's what I believe God's called us to do. How many of you guys believe that? How many of you agree with that? How many of you know that I do not think that the Democrats have any events whatsoever where they acknowledge God? And if they do, they're not acknowledging the God of the Bible that I serve. They're not acknowledging the God that's a man and a woman. Literally. So while I believe God is absolutely going to save this nation, and he's going to do it through us that choose to love others well, that choose to stand up for what's right, that choose to knit arm in arm with those that are fighting to save this country from the clutches of hell that want to destroy it. They want to destroy all the generations. They want to castrate boys so they can't have kids. They want to castrate females so they can't have babies. They want to destroy this nation. It's a spiritual battle, but I believe we will win because God is on our side. God is on our side. Do you feel me? Do you believe it? So I'm going to say a quick prayer, and I want you guys just to agree and say yes and amen at the end if you agree. Father God, we're thankful for you. We honor you right now. We know that you are at work in our lives and in this country, and you're doing things that we can't see. But God, we just say yes to you. We have faith and belief that you love this country. You will not see this country go to the way of socialism or communism. You love this country. You love our families. And I just ask you to bless and empower every single family represented here. And I pray you would continue to, as I've prayed with Brandon so many times, I pray you would continue to bless him, reveal yourself to him, and use him to help wake up as many people as possible and walk away from that slavery plantation mindset. I pray that for Brandon. Blessing, favor, and increase in Jesus' name. Amen? Amen. God bless you.
Once upon a time, I was a liberal.
Please welcome WalkAway founder, Brandon Straka.
You guys having a good time? I love you too. I have a little story to tell you. In the year 2016, in the month of November, something happened to me. Something far worse than any tragedy that's ever happened in American history.
For America to decide.
Hillary Clinton is the winner in Vermont. 3 electoral votes. Donald Trump, while we project, will win in Kentucky with its 8 electoral votes.
Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States elect.
I was working at the time as a hairstylist in New York City, and naturally, the day after the election, in order to cope with what had just happened, I had to cancel all of my appointments and take a personal wellness day. After all, I couldn't be anywhere near scissors or bleach. And so I did what any calm, rational, clear-thinking person would do. I got on Facebook Live, and I started crying.
I rolled over, I found out that he won, and I didn't sleep the rest of the night, and I had to cancel my day today because I can barely function right now, and I couldn't take clients, and I don't know, I need a hug right now.
But as the days following the election passed, I began to realize it wasn't really me that I was devastated for.
I just really feel sad, the death of a dream, which was getting to see our first woman president take office, and I've been a long-time Hillary fan and Hillary supporter, and I didn't realize how much I wanted this for her until Wednesday. I'm finding myself feeling just crushed for her. This must have meant the world to her, and acceptance that it's not going to happen. I hope that people will see her more clearly and not sort of as the monster that she's been made out to be by certain press agencies, and the way she's been villainized. But see somebody who really believes in America.
It's hard to believe that just over 1 year later, this.
Once upon a time, I was a liberal.
I started WalkAway because I had a genuine experience that shook me to my core and turned my life upside down. The experience began in 2017 with the startling realization that almost everything I believed in my entire life was actually nothing more than a carefully constructed narrative installed into public consciousness with meticulous deceit by the entertainment industry, the media, and various systems of propaganda in our culture. When I realized that not only was I being lied to, but that the Democrats and the media had concocted a formula to control minority communities in this country through a steady diet of fear-mongering and deception, I became outraged, and I decided to do something about it. So on May 26th of 2018, I launched an idea. Nothing like it had ever been done before. Utilize the power of social media and the power of testimonial videos to create a movement for people to walk away from the left together as a community. I put out a 6-minute video detailing all of the reasons why I was walking away from the Democratic Party, and I launched a Facebook group encouraging people to create their own walkaway videos and share their own stories.
It's called the #WalkAway campaign group page. And that's where I launched the testimonial campaign. And at this point now we have thousands of testimonials from people on both sides telling their story.
I wanted to make a quick video explaining why I walked away.
Today I'm gonna share with you my walkaway story.
We have left the Democratic plantation. We are off the plantation. #WalkAway.
I had to walk away from the Democratic Party.
Major political figures like James Woods, Donald Trump Jr., and many more started using the hashtag regularly, but nobody at that level actually knew yet what it was. I knew this idea had the potential to have real power, and I had to fight with everything I had to get the public to understand my vision. And so I said yes to every opportunity I was offered to talk about my idea. I began doing up to 12 radio and podcasts every day, 7 days a week, starting at 5 a.m., sometimes past midnight. And I was focused on only one thing: make sure every person in this country knows the name WalkAway, no matter what it takes. As the world began talking more and more about #WalkAway, I knew I needed a major national news interview to establish leadership and get it under control. And finally, on July 2nd, 5 weeks after I launched the movement, my boyfriend called.
Well, not everybody on the left is on board with where the left is going. Brandon Straka has spent years as a liberal. He recently released a new video encouraging other progressives to walk away.
I thought that CNN told the truth. I thought MSNBC told the truth. I thought Rachel Maddow told the truth. So this was mind-blowing to me. I wanted to create a campaign because I knew there were other people like me who were feeling the same way. So what I've done is I've created a testimonial campaign utilizing video and written testimonials. This is happening right now on Facebook. It's called the #WalkAway campaign.
From there, we were off to the races. Testimonials began flooding in by the dozens. Suddenly, everyone was talking about #WalkAway.
And now there's this, and this grassroots movement are urging Democrats who are fed up with their party to #WalkAway. It's called the WalkAway movement, and it's gaining serious momentum.
The WalkAway movement continues to gain traction online.
It's Brandon Straka, who has created quite a stir in recent days.
There's a burgeoning new online movement billing itself as #WalkAway, where once proud liberals denounce their former political identity as the left is moving further and further away from something called reality.
Right? Almost immediately, an attack was initiated against us. In early July, the left-wing media began churning out a blitzkrieg of articles stating that WalkAway was a Russian disinformation campaign. Remember that? And that the hashtag was not being used by real people, but by Russian bots at Vladimir Putin's direction. But it quickly became much more unhinged. Within weeks, the left-wing media began reporting that the people in WalkAway testimonials were paid actors and Shutterstock models. Some articles even suggested that I was being paid by Russia to act as a spokesman for the movement. It was shocking, but back then my team and I thought it was somewhat funny. I felt a sense of pride to be so threatening to the left that they would engage in this type of outlandish attempt to discredit me and WalkAway. What we didn't know then, and didn't find out until many years later, was that this narrative didn't originate from a bunch of leftist hacks in the mainstream media. In 2018, former heads of the CIA, NSA, DHS, along with Hillary Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta, created a digital dashboard called Hamilton 68, which claimed to track Russian influence and disinformation. Hamilton 68 was the source that created the lie that WalkAway was a Russian propaganda campaign supported by Russian bot accounts. And meet Suzanne Spalding, senior advisor for the Department of Homeland Security. Spalding's job was to conduct cybersecurity trainings for our government intelligence agencies to track Russian disinformation. #WalkAway was one of Spalding's commonly used examples in her trainings. In one such government cybersecurity training session titled "Why Putin Targets Minorities," Spalding stated, We believe that Russia targets, fosters, and weaponizes specific groups to serve the larger purpose of undermining the appeal of liberal democracies. As individuals begin to identify with these online groups more strongly, Russian disinformation then encourages them to disengage or #WalkAway. All I knew at the time was that I was one person up against the entirety of the mainstream media who were organizing to invalidate this fledgling movement. I knew I had to fight back with a tactical response. And then it dawned on me. If they're going to delegitimize us by creating a false narrative that WalkAway is not real people, then let's do a march on Washington. Real people marching together in the streets of DC. Holding signs, flags, and banners, marching away from the dishonest left together. I had never done anything like it before. I called upon my friend Tracy Beans and a handful of volunteers, and somehow we brought thousands of people to DC for the WalkAway March on Washington. A weekend so unique and so powerful that President Donald Trump tweeted out, #WalkAway movement marches today in DC. Congratulations to Brandon Straka for starting something very special. The success of the WalkAway March proved what I already knew. WalkAway is a real force with legs that stretch far beyond social media. It was time to get on the ground and begin bringing this message to the people where it was most needed. When I created the WalkAway org, I knew I wanted to do something completely different than what other conservative organizations were doing. And I wanted to be effective by filling in the gaps where conservatives were failing. I consider it to be a calling upon my life and one of my core missions to persuasively connect with minority communities and break the chains that are holding Black and brown, LGBT, religious minorities, and others captive to a toxic, destructive, and blatantly dishonest ideology. So I began gathering powerful voices from these various communities together and traveling the country, doing town halls, debates, rallies, college campus tours, and much more. In 2019, WalkAway produced 24 of these events, spoke at nearly a dozen colleges, and produced our own video series, The Hard Truth. 5-minute videos with former liberals taking on different liberal leftist lies and cultural myths and setting the record straight. Almost every event we've done has been fraught with some type of peril. In New York City, our first WalkAway LGBT town hall, it was canceled days before our event by our venue, the LGBT Center, claiming that we are a bigoted hate group. The left has no boundaries when it comes to stopping minorities, members of a minority community, from telling others that they can think for themselves and break free from the ownership of their leftist masters. My team pulled together and we did what we always do. We hustled and we overcame. And within a few days, we secured a new venue for the event, and the first ever WalkAway LGBT town hall was a huge success, including leftist protesters. The intensity of hatred against us by leftist protesters, Antifa and BLM, continued to grow over time. By early 2020, WalkAway had done dozens of events and had numerous of them canceled by the venues. On several occasions, like in Chicago and San Francisco, our venues canceled us the same day of the event, after we had flown our whole team, all the speakers, and the film crew to that city. By February of 2020, we had had enough. So when the San Francisco town hall was canceled hours before the event, we sent out a message saying that the event would go on, that we would prop up directors' chairs out on the sidewalk in front of the venue and do the event on the street outside. What we didn't expect was that dozens and dozens of Antifa would show up, including the now infamous screaming bald girl.
We've been canceled in New York City, we've been canceled in Chicago, we were even canceled one other time here in San Francisco. So we decided, to hell with it, the show must go on. We're gonna go to the women's building, and if we can't get in, we're gonna stand on the street, and we're gonna do a free speech rally right there in front of the women's building.
WalkAway has done events for the Black community, for the Hispanic community. We will be doing them for the Jewish community. The LGBT community has been co-opted by a cult. The cult of the liberal leftists.
WalkAway! 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 WalkAway!
The day of the liberal left controlling the narrative in America is over.
a lot of protesters, and things got really crazy. At times it got on the brink of violent. They had noisemakers, they were screaming, they were chanting, they were hollering into bullhorns.
Status. Why is it that there are 3.6
They screamed, they blared sirens, they destroyed our microphone cords and our sound equipment, and they tried to intimidate our audience into leaving, but they failed. Some in our audience that night on the street in San Francisco were even Patriots over 70 years old. Some of them had probably never seen anything as heated as that event before, but all of them stood strong, tall, and resolute against the leftist lunatic agitators. And in the end, those brave and determined Patriots won and led WalkAway to a victory for truth that night in San Francisco, and I couldn't be more proud. In 2020, COVID hit and we were put under lockdown. Then George Floyd died and all hell broke loose. I watched for weeks as the left ravaged America's cities and even went into private neighborhoods and tormented citizens in their homes. We were all told we couldn't go outside, couldn't gather, couldn't go to church, couldn't go to work. But the left was allowed to gather in mobs of thousands to burn, loot, murder, and destroy with no consequences. And I kept asking myself, is anybody going to do anything? And once again, I thought, stop waiting for a hero to arrive. Step up and be the leader that people need right now. So the WalkAway team, just a skeleton crew of a few people, got to work creating what we called Rescue America rallies. The message was simple. If the left is allowed to go outside to demonstrate while the rest of us are ordered to stay inside, we will not comply. We will not give up our country willingly to the radical left. And so we raised the money and we embarked on 19 rallies in 19 major cities across America. By midsummer, the violent assaults on our nation by BLM and Antifa had become a daily occurrence. On August 27th, my team and I traveled to Washington, D.C. for an event and this was where we were assaulted by BLM for the very first time.
So I was a guest last night at the White House for the close of the RNC convention to watch President Trump's speech. It was a magical evening. Everything was absolutely incredible. 4 of the people who were with the BLM mob that was harassing the majority of the people as they were leaving walked up to Mikey Harlow, spit in his face. They threw a drink at me, threw a cup in my face, and then they actually hit Libby Albert, the girl who was with me. They called us the anti-gay F word about 3 or 4 times, as you can see in that video. I would like to ask some of those in media, gay people like Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, and Andy Cohen, do you have anything to say about the fact that 2 gay men were attacked last night by Black Lives Matter? Because you guys have been really supportive of this organization. I'd love to know what you think about that now that 2 people in your community were attacked by this organization.
It's a fair question.
The next day, we all flew to Chicago, where a group of dozens of BLM and Antifa showed up to protest our rally. In Chicago, they were noisy and disruptive, but not violent or instigating attacks. But 2 days later, we traveled to San Francisco for our next Rescue America rally. BLM and Antifa came, dressed as WalkAway supporters, but eventually made their true intentions known when members of the group began tearing up our signs and charged at me, screaming, "F you, Brandon!" But thankfully, Big Nick was there to step in and prevent me. Say hi, Nick.
Tensions flared on the Golden Gate Bridge today. Demonstrators joining a nationwide grassroots movement billed as walking away from anti-police protests, social discord, and the radical left.
If you guys want to go loot some stores, you're in the wrong place. You need to go do your smashing and looting down the street.
The demonstration was spearheaded by conservative activist Brandon Straka, billed as a rally to rescue America in opposition to the Black Lives Matter movement.
If there is any legitimate concerns that they have, it's all getting lost in the violence, it's getting lost in the looting, it's getting lost in the beatings and the killings. If they have legitimate concerns, they need to find a different way to express them, because all they're doing right now is repelling people from their cause.
Back up. A handful of counter-protesters were taken into custody.
6 days after that marked one of the scariest and most eye-opening incidents I've ever seen, aside, of course, from everything that happened after January 6th. My team traveled to Dallas for our next Rescue America rally. First, BLM showed up and charged our stage while Shamika Michelle was speaking. Then a BLM attacker assaulted our security guard and was arrested. The attacker began shouting to his cohorts, "Call Chief Hall, call Chief Hall," referring to the Dallas Chief of Police, Renee Hall, a BLM sympathizer. About 30 minutes later, the police came back and arrested our security guard. So we traveled to the police station to get our security guard released. When we arrived, we saw a group of about 35 BLM members standing outside the police station about to hold a press conference. Every network was there: ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, Telemundo, and others. When BLM saw us approaching the police station, they encircled me and began making threats to our safety. So I looked at my team of 5 and I said, "Let's get out of here." We tried to cross the street and leave, and around 20 or more of the BLM anarchists began throwing bottles and traffic cones at us, then literally chased us down the street for 5 blocks, stealing our phones from my employees, breaking them, and screaming and threatening us.
You don't get the opportunity. Tell your ass. Here. You guys is fuck. What the fuck? They fucking run. Fucking phone down. Hey, fuck your phone. Fuck your phone. And what? Give me that damn phone. Give me your phone. Fucking go. And what? Yeah. You stupid fuck. You dumb bitch. You're a minority just like you're not a part of the community at all.
Motherfucker, this ain't time for fucking conversation.
It's time for you to get the fuck out of here.
Fucking go!
We're being chased by a mob of people outside the police station, a mob of Black Lives Matter protesters. They've already thrown shit at us. We're trying to get away from them.
Arling, phone, move! Arling, phone, move! You want me violent? You want me to show you violence? I will show you violence!
That night, every news network carried the BLM press conference. Despite all the news organizations witnessing what had happened to us, they allowed BLM to present themselves as the victims of a racist attack on their organization and mentioned nothing of what BLM did to us in front of them. And that's when I knew there were forces at work far more nefarious than just fake news. They're in on it. They're not just enabling it, they are it. The media is a part of the leftist revolution to destroy America. On January 6, 2021, I was a scheduled speaker at a permitted event on Capitol grounds. I never entered the Capitol on January 6th. I never engaged in any violence, vandalism, theft, or destruction, nor did I witness any. Nothing I witnessed could be described as a riot by any honest person, and I certainly didn't engage in any rioting. But I shot a video outside the open doors of the East Side for 8 minutes, and then I uploaded that video to Twitter. And 2.5 weeks later, a team of FBI agents in tactical gear stormed my apartment at dawn and got me out of bed and put me in handcuffs and took me to jail. During the days I was in jail, news traveled around the globe that the founder of the WalkAway movement had been arrested and charged for his role in the deadly insurrection. My role was that I had no role. But again, we no longer have a media that challenges government. We have a media that supports government, especially when it's weaponized against opponents of the left's agenda. When I was released from jail, I met with my attorney who told me in no uncertain terms that if I wanted to have a chance of coming out of the government's attack with my life somewhat intact, that I needed to just disappear. No media interviews, no events, no fundraisers, no social media, nothing. Just vanish. And so I did. The lies about January 6th and my involvement were used as an excuse to systematically annihilate me and WalkAway. That month, Facebook banned the WalkAway campaign, which had grown to now over 511,000 members with tens of thousands of videos and written testimonials, all gone in an instant. We were permanently banned by PayPal, Venmo, Stripe, Patreon, our donor portals, our email services. We literally lost our ability to process payments from our monthly recurring donors, and we lost our ability to be able to email them to tell them it had happened. I got a notice of eviction from my apartment the day I got out of jail, giving me 30 days to find a new place to live. I was placed on a terrorism watch list with a designation of Quad S, which is the highest level terrorism list that you can be on and still be allowed to fly. And through all of this, the right was silent. My name was never mentioned by any of those conservative influencers. Some of them even deleted videos off their websites that had me in them. I had never seen anything like it. It was like WalkAway and I just ceased to exist. And then I was served in a civil lawsuit brought by a Soros-funded nonprofit firm out of DC. The firm is representing 8 Capitol Police officers who are black, who decided to sue me and a number of other high-profile conservatives under the KKK Act, alleging a civil rights conspiracy to attack black officers at the Capitol or something equally stupid or nonsensical. The officers in question were not even working on the same side of the building I was on. And so I found myself trying to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for my criminal defense, for my civil defense, and to keep my organization and my employees afloat, while also not being able to leave the state that I live in without permission from the court, and while trying to remain in hiding. While going through my criminal and civil cases, I managed to also raise enough money to fund the creation of my own app called WalkAway Social. To replace the Facebook group that was banned after January 6th, I stayed up to take late meetings in the middle of the night every night with developers in India, Pakistan, and the United States. The app functions identically to Facebook, giving our users the same experience they had in our group, but it's owned by me, not Mark Zuckerberg. And it safeguards our content on our own autonomous platform. I took a misdemeanor plea deal, and in January of 2022, I was sentenced to 3 months of house arrest, 3 years of federal probation, after already spending a year on pretrial supervision and time in jail. Finally, I was free to speak again. So I scheduled an hour-long sit-down with Mark Levin on Fox News as my comeback interview. We prepped the interview for weeks, and then 2 days before shooting, Fox News pulled out on the interview. The network I had appeared on more than 75 times between 2018 and 2020 suddenly didn't want to associate with me anymore. I was just beginning my house arrest, so I sat in my apartment bound to home incarceration by my ankle tracking monitor, and there in the enforced silence, I began to understand. Oh, I get it. I'm about to be shunned. It didn't matter that I got hundreds of thousands of people at minimum to walk away. It didn't matter that I had created a thriving movement and organization that produced over 100 events in just 2.5 years. It didn't matter that I sacrificed my personal life, my time, my dreams of becoming a performer, not to mention my personal safety and security, to give everything, and I do mean everything I have, to the conservative movement. The left decided that it was time for me to be finished, and the right was not going to fight for me or for WalkAway. Now I understand. I can tell you from experience, it's one of the worst places a person can be to have one side of the aisle trying to destroy you relentlessly and mercilessly as though you're incredibly important, while the other side of the aisle treats you as if you're not. Honestly, if I hadn't made the decision to fight my way back in and not allow myself or my work to be cast aside, I'm really not sure that conservatives wouldn't have just let WalkAway go. And I don't understand that. The reality is, the left turned their backs on me when I walked away from them, but the right turned their backs on me when I stood up for them. Which one is worse? But the abandonment after January 6th was hardly the beginning of this confusing treatment. In the last 5.5 years, I created a movement that encouraged and inspired many thousands to walk away. I've organized thousands of volunteers around the country to create state groups in all 50 states for meet and greets, door knocking, phone banking, and voter registration drives. I've organized, fundraised for, and produced over 100 events around the country and online, including while I was on house arrest for 3 months, and in 2020 while everyone else stayed home. I stood up to government shutdown orders and to the BLM assault on America. In the middle of battling a crippling criminal case and a bogus civil lawfare case against me, I fundraised for and created my own social media app, WalkAway Social, to give a new home to this movement, safe from big tech tyranny and censorship. My team and I rebuilt every aspect of our infrastructure to be able to survive, building new payment processors, donor portals, email services, and contact lists from the ground up. And in 5.5 years, we have never once heard from anyone in the RNC. Not one single person in conservative leadership ever said, maybe there's some talent here that we should really nurture and grow. Every attempt that we have made to have a conversation with Ronna McDaniels has been denied. I have reached out to the Trump team literally dozens of times over 5 years to request a meeting with President Trump to discuss the success of WalkAway and how these results could be multiplied tenfold. Every request I have made for a brief meeting with President Trump for 5.5 years has been declined, which is very unfortunate because besides Donald Trump, there's not another person out there in the conservative movement who works harder, fights harder, who doesn't back down, and who has had his name, his reputation, and his freedom and his finances as relentlessly and savagely targeted and attacked as me. It shouldn't have been like that. It shouldn't be like that. And the question is, are we really doing so well in this country right now that we can afford to push away the people in our movement who fight, who build and create and inspire with imagination, ingenuity, and creativity? The very rare few of us who make the impossible possible with relentless hard work, grit, determination, and courage. We will not succeed in saving our country without the WalkAway movement. That's it. Our nation is in grave peril. Next year will decide definitively whether or not the America that all of us know and love can survive, or if the American experiment comes to an end. My hope for the conservative movement is that we wake up now, while there's still time, and that we start treating the best and brightest fighters in our movement with even 50% of the respect and importance that we treat rappers who put on MAGA hats, or famous podcasters and cable news personalities who have never stepped outside to knock on a single door, register a single voter, or influence or inspire anybody to walk away. I'm going to hit 2024 with more passion, more power than anything I've ever done up until now. In January, we will resume the WalkAway Thought Revolution College Tour, focusing on speaking to young people in crucial states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. We are launching Project Z, a project aimed at targeting Gen Z by building an army of young voices who will make weekly videos on trending topics and debunking the left's lies used to target this young generation. We'll continue to travel the country to reach out to minority communities to get people woken up and thinking for themselves. We will continue to create outstanding and unique video content to challenge the left's false narratives and divisive propaganda. We will continue to fight day after day to save our country from the destruction of the radical left and grow this movement of free thinkers who choose to walk away. But I need your help. Because of the destruction we endured over the past 3 years, we are currently operating below 30% of what we need to be able to get back to where we were. Tens of thousands of people will see this. We need 5,000 Patriots to sign on to give $10 a month, or 10,000 Patriots to sign on to give $5 a month, and we'll be back where we were. We need all of you to join WalkAway Social on your app store, get involved in your state group, share the testimonial videos all over your social media channels, volunteer with us, donate, share our content, follow us on social media, sign up for our email list and our texting list, help us rebuild. If you want to be a part of a movement that is going to change the world and save our country, WalkAway is it. Because I can fight the left all day long, and I can fight the gatekeepers and saboteurs on the right who are trying to inhibit our success and prevent us from being able to meet President Trump and others who really should know what we're doing. And I can fight the DOJ and the DHS and the CIA and the FBI and the media. I can fight them all, and I have. I can fight them all alone, or we can join hands, fight together, get the hell out there, and save our country. The time is now. Good night.
I'm Pete Corrigan.
My name is Michael Watkins.
My name is Lane Brown.
Everybody, Brown Hollyhand here.
I'm so excited to be a part of WalkAway Project Z.
For Gen Z to get a voice in America's culture war.
This project will give Gen Z conservatives a voice in the culture war happening in America right now.
In Project Z, I'll be discussing a variety of topics, from the Democrats' war on women, to oppressive lockdowns and mandates, to exposing the corrupt liberal communists within our republic.
You're going to hear me talk about a lot of different topics such as China, how we can stop them and how is it important to put America first, as my hat says. Also fiscal conservative values, lowering our taxes, making sure we address our deficit and not overspending in our government.
I'm going to be focused on religion, public schools, and the climate change agenda that the Democratic Party likes to push and fearmonger us.
I'm very passionate about Christian conservative causes. If you follow my page at Brown Hollyhand, I'm constantly putting information out to fight this fake news mainstream media machine. That's the same type of content, the same type of topics you're going to see me be talking about here with Project Z.
I am so excited. You can see all of this and more on the hashtag WalkAway social app by going to walkawaysocial.com.
Let's hear it for a great friend and supporter of WalkAway, Tudor Dixon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here tonight. And most importantly, where are our veterans? Do we have any veterans out there? Thank you so much for your service and happy Veterans Day. Today we celebrate Veterans Day because veterans make events like this possible. You veterans, you are the reason we are able to share our opinions tonight without fear. And there is no time more important than this to be able to share our stories. As we see the world at war, we must be strong here on American soil. There is a movement out there to demonize our amazing country, to demonize it from within, and no one knows it better than the people in this room. I love that because you all made the choice to walk away from hate. You have escaped the grip of the radical left, and you stand against intimidation. You stand against bigotry, you stand against unpunished crime, and you stand against calls for genocide. When I look out at this room, I see a wildly diverse group of Americans who stand for the beautiful, ongoing, and successful experiment that we call the United States of America. The United States of America is the leader of the world. This is the time to remind our enemies and our allies of that very fact. I say that because I think some of our allies might be a little concerned about our president. Depending on the day, he's either a little slow, a little angry, or maybe tripping. And I'm not talking about Hunter Biden-style tripping. You know, have you ever seen Zootopia? He kind of reminds me of the sloths in Zootopia. It's like, where are the nuclear codes, Mr. President? It's like, I'm getting the nuclear codes. This is what I fear our enemies see when they look at us. I fear that they see that, but I know we can change it. We have seen the after effects of the terror attack on Israel. And sadly, it has reminded us of the importance of fighting terrorism, but not only terrorism across the world, but right here on our very own soil. I remember a time not too long ago when parents were considered domestic terrorists. Now we have true domestic terrorists who are organizing on a daily basis to invade our cities, and they are chanting about killing Jews. They went to the White House and they painted white or red paint all over the white pillars. They nearly pushed through the gate. They held up the Palestinian flag through the fence of the White House, and there was barely a news story about it. Shocking to me. The world needs to know that America unequivocally stands with Israel. And our Jewish friends right here in America, many of whom live in Palm Beach, Florida. Look, I could take this a totally different way. I could take a totally different approach here, and I could let fear control the narrative in our country. We could panic over the radical left, paying to move thousands of protesters around to different cities. Again, those are the protesters who are calling to kill Jews. They are paying to move them. These people don't just go, gosh, you know, I'd really like to go to Chicago and protest. There's a massive amount of money behind these things. I could warn you that they're radicalizing young people across America to take away everything we love, our freedom, our voices, our faith. But if I did that, I would be ignoring the great power of this movement right here. The WalkAway movement, the incredible strength in this room right here. The faces I am looking at have all said, I'm free, and I will not be a tool for those people who want to destroy America. This is a room filled with the people who have the same heart as our founding fathers. The people who refuse to live under the control of dictators. The people who believe in the beautiful experiment called America and refuse to let this generation be the first one to break the great world peacekeeper we call the US of A. You all have the spirit of those first freedom fighters that came to this country and said, we will not be manipulated. I will fight for my own right to make my own decisions about my own life. That is the American spirit that is in this room, and that is the American spirit that will preserve the American dream for future generations. When I first walked up on this stage a few minutes ago, I said thank you, and I meant that, because you guys are the special ones. You guys are the ones that walked away from the religion of victimhood and became victors.
Love you, Tudor.
Because those guys that had you, they chose you. They wanted you. They loved having you there. And it took strength and bravery for you to walk away. And you did. So the time to forge ahead is now. I am excited to see what's next for the people in this room because we have a huge year ahead of us. And it will be the people in this room who will be doing the work to restore and protect the God-given rights we enjoy as Americans every single day. So today, as I look out at this crowd, I look at future office holders, I look at activists, and I look at school board members, but most importantly, I look at people who will not be controlled. It's time for us to be unique. It's time for us to get our message out in a different way, to compete with the radicals and to win. We will not be undermined or miss the mark. And we're no longer going to use the political tactics of our freedom fighters in the 90s. We're going to come into the future. The future is here. There is new technology available to us, and we will seize the day. We will not make the mistake of letting the radical voice be the only voice. I am proud to walk with all of you on this journey ahead. I've been walking with Brandon for a while. I've watched him. I've been proud of him. I've been amazed by him. I've been annoyed occasionally by him. We all have. But I love him dearly, and I am so impressed with what he does and the fact that he keeps going, because after what happened to him, I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's the last we're going to see of Brandon, because who would come back to this? But here he is, and look at what he's done tonight. So it turns out this experiment, America, it's pretty good. It's actually great. And I think its greatest defenders are right here in front of me today. I know one of them is. So I tell you, use that app. Never stop sharing your stories, because America is stronger because of you. America is safer because of you. America is more loving because of you. And America will always lead because of you. It is the people and the spirit in this room that will keep it going. And so I am so blessed by you. God bless you. God bless our veterans. And God bless the beautiful United States of America. Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you.
Give it up for one of the original WalkAway walk stars, Mike Harlow.
Hey! Hey, fam! How you guys doing tonight? You guys at this point are probably like, oh, another one, really? I won't bore you that long. My name is Mikey, and I am 7 years clean of leftism. Hi, Mike. Now, for the last couple of years, I've been sort of an inadvertent, accidental culture warrior. I've been mobbed by Antifa, chased by BLM, spit on by hairy men in dresses. I've been shouted at by mentally ill ladies in San Francisco. Good times. Thanks, Brandon. All of this because I decided to do something that seems kind of in short supply nowadays. I decided to tell the truth. I decided that I would not sit and play make-believe with radical leftists and would call reality for what it is. Now, I come here tonight from the Communist Republic of New York City. I'm working on it. I come from a family of two crazy musicians. I should probably have property of the DNC tattooed right here. But what happened, as it did for many of us, is in 2016, I began asking questions. They didn't like that too much. Then I started doing my own research. They didn't really like that too much either. And It was around that time that I decided, maybe I'm not really a conservative, or at the time didn't want to be a Republican, but just felt, well, I don't want to be a Democrat anymore. And that was the day I became literally Hitler. I recently came across a video of myself from the first WalkAway event that I was at years ago, and it was very strange watching myself. I sounded so fearful, and I was apologizing, and every word that came out of my mouth, I was qualifying. Well, I'm not a racist. Look, there's black people. Isn't that neat? Look at black people, guys. And it didn't matter, because if you are somebody who will ever have one single thought that is your own, you will still be a white supremacist, fascist Nazi to them. So there's no point in qualifying. It doesn't matter if you apologize or capitulate. And so I just decided I was going to stop caring what names people call me, what anyone thinks of me, and stand in truth and stand in knowing who I am. Oh, I love you. We're losing this country today for one reason and one reason only: fear. People are so afraid of being labeled, of being called names. They're afraid of breathing air. They're afraid of everything. They're afraid of rocking the boat. So I'm here tonight, and I hope if there's one thing you can take from all of us here tonight, it is be a boat rocker. Because that is how you truly can survive the madness of the left when it feels like the dominant culture is so against you. By never apologizing, by never complying, by never capitulating to these nut jobs, by refusing to sit there and play bitch to radical leftists. You survive by being an immovable object, for tyrants cannot bully you if you are not bullyable. It's really unbelievable how much power the left has been able to consolidate in just the past couple years. They closed your businesses. They forced people to lose their livelihoods if they wouldn't inject themselves with experimental poison. All of us really have been labeled Nazis, domestic terrorists. Some have been thrown in federal prison. All while leftists burn cities to the ground and are now supporting genocide and slaughtering Jews. Because we're the Nazis. 2 years ago, my friend Brandon was arrested one morning for standing outside of a building for 7 minutes. And now here's the thing. People don't have to like Brandon. People don't have to care about Brandon. But this is something that every single American should care about. And I will tell you why. The worst thing that they accused him of is they claimed that he instructed people to take a police officer's shield. The thing is, there was a video of somebody with a distinctly different voice saying that. And this is the thing that everybody should find so scary, is that you can literally have video evidence proving your innocence and still have a court of law prosecute you and possibly convict you. That's where we're at in Biden's America. And this really is why, if we don't all make the decision to stop being afraid, to stop capitulating, to stop apologizing to these people, all is lost. Stand in truth. Stand in reality. The problem isn't cancel culture. The problem is coward culture. The problem is compliance culture. When I did my first WalkAway event a couple years ago, we did our LGBT town hall in New York, and they labeled us a clear and present danger to the community. And at the time, I was so bothered by that. I was like, look at me, what the hell kind of danger am I? But then I had a thought. I thought, maybe they were right. I think they might have been right. We are a clear and present danger to their lies and propaganda and groupthink and tyranny that is happening all across this country. Every single one of us tonight is here to be a wrecking ball through their sick, twisted, authoritarian ideology. Now, in conclusion, you guys are like, finally. In conclusion, Looking back today on 5 years of WalkAway, I can't believe it's been 5. Brandon, you have aged me 20 years since then. I can't believe it. I'm so proud of everything we've accomplished. We are the only group that is not leftist that does not require you to be part of any party, any ideology, any tribe, for any one candidate. We simply want you to think for yourself. WalkAway has given voice to people who have been used and abused by the left and ignored for years by the right. Many of us stand here tonight not as experts, not as politicians, but just as Americans. Because WalkAway is the home for true diversity, where you will find everything from blue-collar average Americans to odd little weirdos like me. And I am so grateful and so proud to be part of this amazing organization. Now, I want to leave you guys with one thing. We are currently living in what is probably the most challenging period of our lifetimes that we've ever faced in this country, if you consider the totality of everything that's happening. And every one of us here has faced tremendous adversity over the last few years. Thank you, Biden, ever since then. But we are still standing, because life is about one thing, that when things get rough, you keep going. We don't just walk away, we walk on. Thank you guys so much for all your support over the last 5 years. This has been the honor of my life. Thank you guys. I love you guys. Good night!
Check. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Did you all enjoy Act 1? We have 75 more speakers tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting started. I'm kidding, we're done. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for coming to WalkAcon to celebrate 5 years of WalkAway with us. Thank you. And may the next 5 years be even better. Let's keep kicking ass. Last thing I want to say is, if you don't already know, please join us tomorrow for a Patriot rally starting at 1 p.m. Just cross the bridge going to Mar-a-Lago. You're going to see hundreds of Patriots there celebrating our veterans and celebrating WalkAway. Get home safe. I love you all. Good night. Thank you.